Was anybody hurt?
No, we got everybody out in time. Because we've got the fire safety officer that's having a look to try and discover why the blaze started. Okay. So he's probably going to want to speak to you.
I think the target seems to be me, because it was my fucking room.
They're just out for vengeance for Tyler.
I may have found us some assistance in our current issue. Some very powerful assistance. However, we need to act on it quickly because they are not patient.
And he looks for all the world like an addict that is on the very, very cusp of just losing his shit. He's locked in a car with you, and you are trying to get there as quickly as you can without drawing more notice in an area where there's already police presence. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this, the 8th episode of Blood on the Thames, a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in London, England. Joining me tonight is...
Carlos, playing the Fast and Furious Moses from Clan Nosferatu.
Hi, I'm Peter, and I'm playing Benjamin, the Malkavian.
Hi. I'm Rachel. I'm playing Katia the Tribute. And I'm sick, and it's great.
Yay.
But she's still here.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Philip. I'm playing the currently really fucking ravenous gang girl.
Yes, you are.
Jim Roy Woods, yes.
Yes, you are.
Fucking hell, 500.
I love that word. Ravenous. Dangerous.
He's the ravenous bug-bladder beast.
The combat tank. This is going to be fun. So, I'm going to hand over to my endearing players in order to do the recap from what happened last week.
Okay, so after the fire and the stabbing and the biting and the disaster that was the night, Moses decided to go back to the McDonald's to see what he could find in the ways of information from the security camera recordings. He could not get a hold of them, but he now knows where they are. Same prison that he already visited. He left it at that. He found out that Katia had been packing, so I had to sneak back into our half-burned haven, take out a gun, and then sneak back out while I met then with Jim at the end of the tunnels, and I smuggled him out to wait for Katia at the hospital where she was with Will.
So, meanwhile, Benjamin was frantically painting to try and get a painting finished before Michael chased the Torridor Primogen's deadline on his deal. So he did the painting, it didn't suck. He got his sire to come and have a look at it, his sire liked it. He asked his sire about possibly taking the deal or not. His sire was not happy, but he was happy with the painting, and he's still wonderful. But he also suggested that Michael Chase should be made to wait in kind of revenge for him being made to wait, which of course Benjamin agreed with because Edmund is wonderful. And yeah, and so Michael Chase is still waiting.
Meanwhile, Katia was at the hospital close to the domain, trying to pay a visit to Will, who of course had been almost fatally stabbed very recently. She had to wait a long time. When she eventually got to see a doctor, Will was in no condition to be seen, and the doctor had some rather difficult questions about the nature of her injuries, including the injuries that Oliver had inflicted upon her. Katia seemed to be able to fob him off somewhat with a bit of a bullshit story, and she then went to try and find Moses.
Yes, at this point, Moses has Jim smuggled into the car, seeing Jim's pretty destroyed arm at this point, which is causing him no end of pain. Meeting up with Katia, then going off to the Chantry, and Jim and Moses travelling to Moses' little place, which Jim thought was a lot fancier than he was expecting. He's bandaged his arm, then during the night, during the next morning, has healed 1 point of aggravated damage, but has gone to hunger 5, and a young teen came very close to being being brutally murdered, let's put it that way. But Jim managed to walk away from that, get in the car with Moses, and things went wrong.
Meanwhile, kind of whilst this was all going on, Katia went back to the Thames Chantry. She met with an apparent friend of hers, Sabine, and managed to convince Sabine to aid somewhat in the coteries' hunt for the responsible thin blood who has been terrorising the domain. And the following morning, whilst completely oblivious to the disaster that was slowly unfolding at Shea Moses, she was given a bloody rag which she could use to track this particular perpetrator, Chris Young, and she has been given 24 hours to bring his torpid form back to the Chantry for processing.
All done?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah. Edmund and Katia are currently together.
they're not.
Is there-
Oh, they're not.
Benjamin
Yeah.
and
Is there
Katia.
any
Yeah.
other
That
important
would be a
bits?
freaky twist, wouldn't it?
Is there any other important
Forgot
bits you
about
can
it.
recall from your last scene, Katia?
I mean, the only other important thing, I guess, is that there was the internet footage of
Oh yeah.
Moses
is in
having
trouble.
a McThin blood.
No.
It's all over the
Of a
internet.
random guy biting someone else's arm
In a creepy,
with a
weird
strange
way.
resemblance to
A Nosferatu.
a lovely Nosferatu. Everybody knows.
And not only that, but Moses' Primogen would rather like to see him, and I believe the Regent has also asked to see Katia after her current mission is complete. But we'll see how that goes.
And that, how we left off was the rolling of a bestial total failure. I'm going to say that again. A bestial total failure.
You have
God,
to
I love
add
the
that
sound
in,
of
right?
that. Yeah, I know, right? Fills me with joy. After Moses and Jim were contacted about assisting with the hunt for Chris Young, the thin blood they are currently hunting for. And that is where we left off with the roll results. Now, who do I begin with?
Who indeed? I should probably get this ready in case we don't get rules up.
Moses, Jim. The call from your companions and your urgency to be away, your uncomfortable proximity to Jim, whose fingernails are embedding themselves in your somewhat expensive car seats. The way that he's staring directly ahead, his irises narrow, and the way that his head jerks almost as though he's listening to the sound of every passerby that goes past your car, is uncomfortably clear to you. And as you begin accelerating, trying to catch up to your companions, trying to get towards them before they do something which to your mind is going to be another fuck up that you're going to have to cover up, you begin accelerating. You begin weaving your way through traffic. You begin cutting corners, which any sane person would be hesitant to do, but I mean, fuck it, so much has gone wrong, what else can go wrong? And that
So hungry.
is one of the thoughts that goes through your mind, accompanied by the increasingly familiar and yet no less potent feeling of gnawing pain that drags itself throughout your corpse. And even as Jim beside you goes rigid, and for a moment there's a part of you that thinks perhaps he's fucked off into torpor, something similar, just purely because of how still he has now become. He's, there's no pretense of breathing, there's no twisting of his head anymore, he's no longer listening towards other people. Even as you're aware of this, your own hands begin tightening on the steering wheel, and your foot pushes down on the accelerator as you begin picking up on the sounds of people outside the car. You can hear them laughing, you can hear them joking, but whether or not you hear this, within your own mind there is the incessant reminder from the beast that, and it goes in time with the purring of the engine. And just as you're glancing towards someone else, you catch sight of something out of your wind view mirror, your side mirror, and it's Jim's head just slowly turning and looking at you. And there's an intensity there that causes your head to jerk around, purely out of reflex, just in time for someone to careen in front of you. And out of pure reactionary impulse, you spin the wheel sharply and you twist off the road, and in your fighting to try and wrestle with the the wheel and avoid any contact with anybody else. You careen off the side of the road in towards a multi-story, clip the edge of the barrier, and then all the world begins to spin and rotate as your car is flipped over and over. I need from both of you a stamina plus athletics roll.
I'm wearing my seatbelt.
Doesn't matter, I'm taking that into account. That's the reason you're getting a roll.
I know. I'm just saying.
Did you wear your seatbelt today, Jim?
I think Moses would have probably made sure you put it on, to be honest.
Remember, kids,
Yeah.
seatbelts save lives.
I
Yeah,
have a
like-
decent
like-
dice pool for this one.
Put on your seatbelt so you don't jump on me.
All right, good. That's good.
That is 4 successes
Okay.
on 3 dice.
That's 4 successes.
Also, it's a
7 dice.
It's a messy critical.
Oh!
Because all the dice I have are hunger dice.
He's a
So I have a messy critical.
Okay,
It's a 4
that's going to
successes.
translate into something else.
Oh no.
The car goes end over end, spinning and rotating. You can hear the as the roof begins crushing inwards with each rotate, and you feel your body's being tossed about violently against the restraints of your seatbelt. There's once or twice where you're pretty damn certain that your head clips the ceiling, and it's jarring, even though it's not, you're no longer at risk of being knocked unconscious. You can smell or rather you can hear the cracking of bone as you begin rotate and flip. Finally, screeching across the tarmac, you can hear of the metal as your car slowly slides to an impact. Both doors wedged against the very edge of this multi-story, and you hear nothing else around you in the eerie silence which pervades the aftermath of this crash. You both take 2 superficial damage. That is not halved.
So 2 superficial.
2 superficial. Jim, I need you to make a willpower check. Moses, as a result of your messy critical, I need you to make a willpower check.
2 successes. Is this including the this includes the humanity, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. 3 successes.
That is 1 success.
Okay.
Unexpected.
Katia,
That's me.
you've made your way back towards the McDonald's, and your contact with... Oh, yeah, it's fucked. Your contact with Ben, and you're both meeting there. You have the rag handed to you by Sabine, tucked away in your coat pocket, and you're waiting in this silent and still closed proximity to this restaurant. There are no police cars still there. There are people doing the occasional glance inside, some people trading words as they walk past. You are just one among many people which is paying a bit too much attention to this place where a stabbing recently happened. So you don't stick out immediately, and as Benjamin, you begin making your way towards Katia. You find her pretty easily within the proximity of this area. And you, Katia, based upon the brief glimpse you had of that image, and from what information you've been told in part, you can almost envision the event happening. And there's lingering anger there, there's lingering other emotions which are boiling up at the thought of whomever this individual was. How dare he lay his hand on Will, and how dare he, in general, how dare he? And as you're focusing on this booth, where you can still see outlines of red, it's impossible for most people to pick up, but you can see every sense attuned towards this one substance, and you can see it. It almost is impossible to take your eyes away as Benjamin comes up towards you. And then as you both step away into an alleyway, not enough to try and move like out of sight of everybody, but enough to kind of give yourself a bit of distance, you begin feeling a warmness in your pocket. It's not an uncomfortable warmness, and you feel the fabric in your hands begin to go very, very loose, almost as though it's actively unweaving in your fingers. And then as you pull your hand out, you just feel ash. And then as it just falls between your fingers, the ash makes contact with the ground, and then you can see before your eyes it just beginning to slowly trail and turn. You see nothing.
Okay.
All you see is just her hand come out and then ash go between her fingers.
Hello.
Good evening. Are you ready?
Well, I'm not quite sure what we're doing. Do you remember we were going to talk about it
Yes.
in person?
I have a means to find Chris. Oh, sorry. I have a means to find the one that's causing this mess, the one that is responsible, at least in part, for the arson, the one that's responsible for the attack.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Good. So you have the means to find them, so you know where they are.
I will do.
Right.
I have a trail I can follow, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
I-
So where does the trail start?
It starts here. Are you ready?
Well, I suppose that depends what we're going to do.
For now, all I intend to do is find out where he is, whether he has a base of operations. Call this reconnaissance, if you will.
All right. Yes, that sounds good.
If the situation is favourable, we can
Do you?
move in.
Is this something we'll need a car for, or are we going to do this on foot?
I feel like it might be advantageous to do this on foot, especially if the trail leads places the car cannot go.
All right. Yes.
Right? As I say, I don't know what might be at the other end, but if it seems like suicide to go any further, we will wait. However,
Yes, I agree.
this needs to be done within 24 hours,
Why?
because that's how long I can follow the scent for.
Well, but, I mean, yes, but there's a logical. I mean, it would be a shame to lose the trail.
Yeah.
But
Also, the help I have enlisted to help us find this in the first place will cease to support us if we do not conclude this in 24 hours.
oh, we've got help. Oh, that's
We
good.
did, indeed.
Good. All right.
Yes.
Are they going to help us deal with him?
And they are interested in removing them from
Oh,
this
fabulous!
picture.
So we have to find them, and then they will get rid of them.
Not quite. I mean, they might get rid of them, but we have to bring them one. We have to bring them one of them.
I thought there was one of them. Are there lots of them?
We don't know, do we? Well, we know there's at least one more that isn't.
All right. No, I think I
around.
understand. So, all right. So we're going to go and see how many there are.
Going to see how many there are. If Chris is alone, if the situation is favourable, as I say, perhaps we can try and deal with it ourselves.
All right. Let's go and look.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we'll do.
All right.
And I will start to follow the trail.
Okay. The trail itself leads out of the alleyway and off down the street, and you begin following it. It's strikingly clear to you. It's almost like it appears almost as though dust or ash is just lining a neat man-made line directly in front of you, but as you watch it, it almost seems to subtly shift as you follow it, and it's hypnotic, almost like the turning of a snake as it progresses forward down the street, and you just follow it. And you're just watching as Katia, is with her eyes on the ground, is just moving one way, and all of a sudden she'll turn and move off down another street.
So it's like she's tracking on concrete.
Yeah, it's almost as though she's tracking through sight of concrete, through some invisible tread marks that you can't quite make out. And now and again, you double check where she's looking and try and piece it together yourself, but there is nothing there for you to follow.
I mean, I will be keeping an eye out, obviously, for very dangerous
Yeah.
anybody's.
I'll probably also say as we go, it's worth noting that I don't know how much they know about us, but if we think we're getting close,
Yes.
it would probably be prudent to move with less obvious purpose.
Oh, yes, no, right.
I
Because,
don't know if they know what you and I individually look like.
oh, wait, are we talking about the Thin Bloods?
Yes.
Oh, yes, no, they do.
I just didn't
They
want
know
to say
what I
it
look
back
like.
there because we were standing out in the open
Yes,
surrounded by kind.
they know what I look like.
Okay.
Because they saw me when I was outside
Right.
the door.
Okay. I don't know how many of them have seen me, because I obviously wasn't there the first time you had your little altercation.
So maybe you're all right.
I don't know. I mean, they've been watching us for a while. I expect they've seen me,
Now,
but they've definitely seen you.
please don't take this the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about tracking people. I don't know if you've got some kind of clever, I don't know, satellite something or other going on. But I thought you could. I can understand how people track in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see. I mean, you honestly do know where you're going, don't you?
Yeah. Yes,
Right.
I can guarantee. Well, I don't know where we're going to end up, but I can clearly see the path before us.
Right. Yes. I mean, I can see the path. I just can't see any tracks. You know, muddy boot prints or.
It's a little gift I was given by those helping us.
Oh. Right. I don't understand what you're talking about, but good. Good.
Well, as long as we find them, then
Yes, I agree.
I suppose it doesn't really matter.
Yes. Yes. All right.
All right.
Great.
Good.
So you continue on this path for a good 9 minutes before it finally veers off the street and breaks down into the Brixton tube station. And you find yourself standing up on a platform waiting for something, because the trail cuts off at the edge of the platform. It's clear he boarded the train, but for the moment, it's just there. And you wait. And you're waiting expectantly, waiting for her to suddenly tell you where you're going, but she doesn't say anything for the moment. And then, finally, a tube comes in, and the path goes into it and just veers.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
You step onto the tube, and immediately you notice that this is a crowded tube. There are quite a few people on there. It's one of those times where you're looking around and there's that one solitary seat that everybody's just kind of eyeing up. They're waiting for someone on either side to move so they don't have to sit next to someone.
Just kind of.
But no one.
My scarf and huddle by the door.
Yeah, I mean, it's not crowded to the point where you can't move, but it's crowded to the point where there's no. You're hoping that someone moves if you're on a long tube thing, because people are closer than normally is comfortable, and you just watch everybody is keeping their eyes down, or they're looking up at the tube map trying to plan when their next stop is, or they're just reading a book or just listening to music on their phones, and no one speaks, and all you can see is the trail just weaving almost in time with the tube going forwards. And every time that the tube takes a turning, it turns and then straightens, and it stays like that. On and on and on. What did you roll?
1 success. 1 miserable success.
3. Okay.
Cool.
You look around, and all you can hear off in the distance, what previously was just silence, is... And as you glance around, still pinned into your chairs as you are by your seatbelts, Moses with your floppy-eared hat just dangling until it tumbles off of your head, hitting the roof, this dented roof. And as you look back, twisting your head, you can hear a substance just... And you begin feeling claustrophobic. You begin feeling annoying pain, and you are uncomfortably aware of something beside you. And as you kind of look and stare at him, you don't see Jim anymore. You see a rival, and you see a predator, and you see someone that is so close to ripping your throat out. And instinctively,
I kick the door out.
you try and kick the door. I need a strength plus athletics check from you. Minus 2 dice. You're currently pinned in your car.
One success!
One success. Jim, as you glance around, Moses, his wide eyes are just locked upon you, and there is clear, unbridled fear upon his face as he stares at you, his head twisting around. And this is the first time you've seen him without a hat, and you're getting the full Nosferatu treatment here. And as you can feel that tight kind of anger and hunger overriding you, you can hear the dripping, and immediately your brain goes, blood. And your head twists, but then as your nostrils inflate, it's not blood that you can smell, but petrol. And as your head twists around, this sudden movement from you inspires Moses to suddenly throw himself as best as he can, restrained as he is by his seatbelt, towards this door. And you can see beyond the door that he is currently wedged between stone and the body of the car. There is no way he is going to push that open, but he is throwing himself against it, trying to get out. The only possible way that he can get out, you know, is through your door. Whilst you yourself is pinned, with enough force you could open it enough to try and slip out, or you could at least break the window to climb out of it. There is no way he is getting out through his window, but this doesn't seem to occur to the otherwise observant Moses, who was just throwing himself against this door. He is making a lot of noise.
First things first, because I'm pinned with the seatbelts.
Yep.
I'm going to try and rip the seatbelt off.
Yeah,
Not really thinking so. That.
It's not difficult to do. I mean, you struggle against it initially, you know, in your frustration and fury, and the fact that you are pinned is an uncomfortable uncomfortable sensation for you. Particularly for you, and as you begin struggling against it, your fingers, which were embedded themselves into the leather of his seats, finds purchase on the seatbelt, and you begin pulling and pulling and pulling until the actual mechanism just yanks itself free, and the seatbelt just straight back up into its hold, and you suddenly slump down onto the roof, kind of twisted at an angle. It would be humorous if there wasn't so much fear, quite non-comedic fear, flittering across the face of your normally so calm, relatively, companion. And the way he is struggling is very much of an animal caught in a trap. And as he is throwing himself against this door, you can smell the gasoline, and you can smell it strongly. And then you can hear footsteps. Distant, but you can hear them. And immediately, your focus shifts from Moses towards the footsteps. What are you going to do?
I'm out through the window.
Okay, strength plus athletics.
Hunger dice. That's 2 successes.
Okay. The sound of Moses throwing himself against the door is suddenly chorused by you making contact with the door itself and the rattling of the window, which was partially down when you made contact. And it's... And then suddenly your fist draws back and makes contact with the window, and you hear... as the window just shatters underneath your blows. Shards of glass just fill the seat next to you and then also tumble against the concrete on the other side. And as you kind of reach through, you begin pulling yourself half out of the car. Despite the fact you are moving away from him, Moses is still going at that door. I need from you...
As the glass rains on me, because I assume that because of the angle.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean...
Can I kick the windshield? Just kick it back. Just hold on.
At the moment, the reason why you've got 1 success is because you got a success at all on an attempt where you should, in theory, be in frenzy.
Okay.
The fact that your beast is showing itself partially in your compulsion is the only reason I'm not having you do a full frenzy, and it's also part of me that feels slightly bad for you all. I'm not going to lie. That was a really bad series of events to happen one after the other. So in theory... If it's anything that requires logical thought, you're probably not doing it at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
If Jim was right next to you, you were trying to get it away from him, which involves going that way. I'll probably allow you another willpower roll in... You rolled 1?
Oh, in the willpower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably about 1 minute.
If I last that long, okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jim, you are half outside of the car, and as you kind of pull yourself around... You can feel the scraping of concrete at the back of your neck. You can feel skin beginning to come away from about that much distance you are squeezing yourself through. And there is actively ripping of fabric as you're pulling yourself out. You feel your boot catch on the handbrake, and you yank it with enough force that you can feel your boot, the bottom of your boot, come away from the sole.
Your boots.
And as you're pulling yourself out, your hands are making slow claws. Slow, not full claws, but clawed motions upon the roof as you begin leveraging yourself to try and get up and out. And then you see a head come around the corner, and you see someone in a fluorescent jacket just staring around at the car. and then a flashlight, and I need another willpower check from you.
This is where it goes from bad to worse.
Yes,
I
it
thought it's
is.
already done that. This is going from like worse to like apocalypse.
Oh,
Thanks.
that is 6 successes.
Well,
Holy shit.
Critical success.
Okay, somebody needs a.
Did you get a critical win?
That was a critical win.
Yep.
Okay. You are free from making these rolls for the extent of this scene, unless blood is spilt.
Oh. Wow.
why did you have to make it so easy?
Seeing that
Unless blood is
fluorescent
spilt.
jacket, seeing the terror on that guy's face, and hearing the thum, 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 thum of Moses within the car, and the smell of petrol suddenly awakes a part of you which up until this point the beast had slowly been smothering. And you are suddenly awake as to your situation. The hunger is still there. It is still very much potent and very much distracting. But there's a moment of clarity that suddenly kicks through of just how dire your situation currently is. And this individual who's staring wide-eyed in surprise and amazement at this scene, currently caught between moments of deciding what to do, just as you yourself are. You two. You continue to ride the tube, going round and round as people slowly filter out and come back in. Eventually you manage to find seats. They're not the best, nor comfortable, nor nicest smelling seats, certainly for you, Benjamin. But this is the tube. By comparison, it's not that bad. And you begin riding down the tracks until, finally, the trail stops and shifts rapidly towards the door. And as you look between the windows, you can see just embedded upon the wall is Baker Street Station.
I write that down.
Are you getting out of the tube?
Yeah. If it's leading us out, then I'm getting out.
Yeah.
I'm also writing this down as in case I need to follow it again.
Okay. You rapidly push your way through the number of people which are just completely ignorant of the fact there's trying to get off. There's people pushing through, and you shoulder your way through.
I
Benjamin with
apologise quite a lot.
with an apologetic look.
Sorry.
Katia maybe with an indignant look back as people just shoulder
I would
large
be
fires.
apologetic normally, but I'm gonna, stuff to do.
And you step out onto the station, and there are about 4 or 5 people still here. All of them in various states of being preoccupied with other tasks. A few people looking impatient as they're looking up and down, looking up towards the display in the Times, trying to figure out when the next train's going to come along. The tubes come pretty regularly, but most people, they'll keep their eye on those times. And the trail has veered off towards the right, towards the tracks, and down into the tracks. You do still have people on this.
Yeah. What time is it roughly?
This time, do you know what? That is one of the few things I did not note now.
It's not that late, I don't think.
I don't think it is. Meanwhile, I'm gonna
Probably
lean
very
in.
early.
I'm gonna lean into Ben and say, look, you're not going to like this. I'm afraid the trail leads off down the tunnel.
Into the tunnel.
Yes.
Oh, you're right, I don't like it.
But yeah, I expect as much. However, it's not that late yet. Do you think? Is there anything we should try and pick up first? It isn't late. If we find the little corner shop, or like a B&M or something.
I'm not quite sure what you have in mind.
I'm
I'm
just
not sure
thinking-
what corner shops you've been to lately, but I'm not sure there's going to be anything that's going to help us there.
Well, it's more about being able to defend ourselves. Is there anything?
Well,
It's only just been New Year. What if they have? No, that's a terrible idea.
the thing is, I don't know. You're talking about actually going and doing. I'm going to glance around, make sure no one's like that close to us.
No, there's not that many people on the platform. It's a long enough
It's more
platform.
if we find ourselves faced with a favourable opportunity, we don't want to waste it.
You're talking about doing something violent, aren't you?
Do you know any other?
I thought you were just going. We were just going
That's-
to look.
that's the
what you
plan.
said. You said we
However-
were going to look.
I know, and that's what I want to do. But I'm just thinking, what if, and this will be just like our luck, wouldn't it? What if we find ourselves in a situation where we could do something and we have nothing?
Well, if you'd said this to me a few days ago, I would have just said no. But
At the end of the day, we have going into a dark tunnel ahead of us.
what I'm thinking is you know, I don't think I'm quite the person that I thought I was. I mean, you know, the Benjamin Green that I know can't just break doors open with his bare hands as if they're nothing. And there was.
This is a period of reinvention.
I don't know, and I'm finding it. I don't like it, but I'm finding. Glance around, particularly when I'm hungry. It's a lot easier to just do these things that are awful than I thought they were. And is everyone like that? Does everyone have that? Do you feel like you're yourself, but you're also this sort of dangerous, powerful creature as well?
Well, I'd say it certainly depends on the situation. The question is, we know where we have to go. It's not a wonderful place.
I can see in there.
I can't.
That's
I can see some things, but not what we need to.
Well, I could lead you, but can you see? How can you track if you can't see? If you can't see, you can't track.
I don't know actually. Honestly, I don't know what would happen. That's why I don't know. Do we have a quick detour upstairs, as it were?
Hang on, I really don't see how that is going to help us in the slightest. Unless you have an idea for something.
Well, that's the difficulty. We don't know what we're going into. At the same time, we can't just waltz off down a tunnel with people everywhere.
No, that is very true.
So the other reason for going upstairs is we might find an access point somewhere. I don't know whether
that's a good idea.
I don't know whether the trail adjusts if I move away from it.
Well, I suppose there's one way to find out. And I don't like the idea of hanging around on a platform.
No, and at the end of the day, the trail won't fade away for another few hours. I'm going to be able to follow it.
You sound very confident about that.
I don't doubt my elders.
No, of course not. No, our elders are wonderful
Indeed.
people.
Yes, quite.
All right, so we're going to go
But
upstairs.
we go upstairs, we see what happens.
Yes.
If it readjusts, it might be that it does a beeline to another...
No, I don't understand what word you're saying, really. I mean, trails don't move, do they?
All right.
So if you know where his footprints are, or what have you, then we follow them or we don't, surely.
Well, let's see what happens.
All right.
Okay. We would like to go upstairs to street level.
So, after a period of Benjamin's
Yeah.
perhaps a little less subtle. I mean, this to you is very clandestine. You're not. Used to
Yeah.
I mean, I was
I'm being
trying
proper
to
spy.
make it look like a casual conversation. Like I'm fairly.
Yeah, I mean, not meant. You know, there's not enough people kind of looking around and being hyper aware at this point. You know, people are occupied by their books, by the displays, by the times, by conversations that they're having on their phones, or you know, in one case, one person just speaking to himself, almost as though he's. I don't know, maybe going over lines or maybe memorising something to himself, but he's having a conversation, and that's one of the things that draws your eye. As you look around, you think he's talking to someone, and then you realise he's talking to himself. But whilst you find this odd and peculiar, as you look around towards Katia, she's already turned off and started going up towards the stairs, and you begin quickly following her, moving back towards the street level, climbing up the stairs, moving past people going up the escalator. And there's a few people moving back and forth, but there's no one else heading down towards the platform.
I'll check my phone and say, you haven't heard from the others, have you? Didn't you say they were coming?
They said they would come. I told them as soon as they're free, I'd let them know where we were.
Well, that's good.
If I don't hear anything in a while, I'll message them again. I'll try and call or something.
Yes, I think it'd be better, because whenever I call Moses, I'm not quite sure if he's going to answer or not.
Well, certainly before we make any decisions after we've gone a bit further, for sure.
Okay. So you head back up towards the street level, and there's numerous people around at this point. Yeah, as late as it is, people are still trying to get back there, either trying to make their way towards bus stops. They're still out just for a night in London, or they're just wandering back and forth. So you're not alone. I mean, certainly not in a hub of transport like the underground. Where are you heading? What are you planning?
Firstly, I want to see if this trail, whether it's like sat nav in that way that if for example you accidentally overshoot your turning, whether it adjusts and it always takes the quickest route, or whether it'll just tell me to retrace my steps.
No. It's the latter.
Yeah.
In fact, as you step away from the trail, there is no ash following you.
Right. Well, that answers that question. We can only go that way.
So I'll have a. How many people are on this platform?
Around you at the moment, you've probably got about 8 people. Not on the actual platform itself, which is down below, which is about 5.
All right.
You haven't seen anybody really going up or down enough to change that number.
We could go to the platform,
Yes.
and then when the train comes and a lot of people get on it, there'll be a point when everybody who's got off the train will be going off away, and everybody who was waiting for the train will have got on.
Aren't there supervisors for this sort of thing?
Oh yes, but
Maybe not at this time of night. I don't know. Is this a particularly? I look around. Is there like a someone monitoring?
No one that you can see.
Are there cameras?
None that you can see on a casual glance. I mean, you can go around and have an active look if you want.
Well, I want to see if there's any camera placed that could see that direction, I guess. So it would have to be in the space.
Okay. Well, use we'll say intelligence plus awareness.
Okay, that's not bad. I want 200. That's 3 successes.
Okay. There is one camera, but it doesn't extend fully towards the passage. If you kept to the blind spot and based upon how Moses has explained his own cameras to you, you can hazard a guess at where it might be. You could, in theory, slip off. However, sticking to that spot and then suddenly jumping off, unless something is going on that is going to keep people's attention, you're going to be obvious about it. It's not just going to be like you can slowly move over there and then just hop off.
Right.
You're going to have to cleave to the edge, keep right close enough so that you can just potter off and go around the corner.
Might have to go with your option then. The good news is the camera won't see that.
right. So we're going to wait for a train, and then in a moment when the
Slip
platform's
off.
clear, we will just go down.
So it would seem. Can't say I'm entirely confident about this plan, but I'll do my best.
Well, I mean,
At the end of the day, if anyone sees us, and I'll be keeping an eye out, I might be able to deal with that.
I mean, it's London. I don't think it's going to alarm people. Later, people always do stupid things.
That doesn't solve the problem, of course, that I won't be able to see a damn thing. However, what strikes me as weird is, these Thin Bloods must be able to see something.
Yes.
Unless they possess the same sort of abilities that you do.
Oh, I hope not.
You never know.
So I guess we're waiting for a train.
Okay. Are you standing in the blind spot, or are you going to wait to move over?
The blind spot itself, is it like, obviously someone's going to jump off here, or is it just near the edge of the platform?
It's basically on the edge corner of the platform, against that far wall. So if you imagined it was a long rectangle, you're on the short side. That's where you'd be waiting, because you can't be certain that the camera doesn't cover that spot.
Yeah.
But it seems a pretty daft point to look when
Yeah.
you've got the rest of the platform to
Alright,
look at.
I'm
Because
gonna...
the camera itself is up in the
Yeah.
nestled in the nook,
Right.
facing towards.
the rest of the station.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you were under it, you'd be right in that corner.
It'd be unusual if it, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
but-
so I will stand in that corner, kind of away from everyone else, and make it look like I'm just trying to keep out of the way while I check my phone or something.
Okay.
So, quick question, technical question.
Okay.
If one was obfuscated, obviously people who are watching when you do it can still see you. So, if I was to obfuscate in front of Katia, and obviously if there were anyone around, if I was to talk to her, would that break the obfuscation? As in, I'd have to re-rouse to use it again?
Yeah. Because if you're making any purposeful sounds or anything that draws attention to yourself,
You could whisper.
But if I was, what I mean is, if I was whispering to her, obviously she would know I was there, but would it break it? Would it break the whole effect, and I have to re-rouse?
Basically, I would say, I mean, without poring over the book to double check, I really need to double check this given how often you use obfuscate. I'm trying to do it by basically, if you are whispering and there is anyone close by, they will at least get a check to see whether or not they can. Their attention is drawn. Okay. In which case, they will snap out of obfuscate. But unless you are doing something which, you know, would draw anyone else's attention. So if you're speaking loudly, or if
you can whisper.
Yeah, you can whisper. Okay. But obviously, if someone stood like right next to you and you start whispering, I'd say check.
Whether because what I don't want to do is to have to keep re-rousing to activate it.
No, I mean as long if you activated it next to Katia and she knows where you are and you were to whisper now to her, there's no one stood next to you to it. Yeah. But if you're going to have a prolonged conversation with her, even in a whisper, I'd probably make a roll for someone.
Okay. It's not so much whether people would hear us; it's more whether I would have to keep re-rousing.
No. As long if it drops for someone, I'd assume you'd re-rouse to try and activate it on them again. And in which case they'll justify in their own mind where you've gone.
Sure, understood.
Cool. Basically, just don't do anything that's going to draw people's minds. I mean, if someone is watching you and then all of a sudden leap off the platform,
let's not draw attention. Who would do that?
No, quite.
Yeah, I know, right?
Try to do obfuscate now and then wait for the exchange of people, so those who are in the train have not seen you.
Because then it's easier for me to go. Yeah,
of course.
I mean, at the moment, no one is looking your way.
All right, fine. I'll say I'm going to make it harder for other people to see me.
Right.
When we're in the dark, you probably won't be able to see me anyway. But I might take your hand, obviously to lead you down, or your arm, or whatever you prefer. And obviously, I'm going to have to be very quiet. I'll whisper. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. You activating it now?
Yeah. Why not? Well, when at a point when you know.
Okay. Do you want to activate it now or wait for the train?
Oh,
keep in mind that if the tube does pull up, there's more people that could, in theory, potentially see you. Whereas if you are obfuscated already...
Oh, I'll do it now. Do it. No! Why, Dice? Why do you do this to me?
Hunger 3.
For those at home...
Hunger 3.
Katia is on 2, Ben's on 3, Moses is on 4, and Jim's on 5.
Yay!
Oh shit.
Those are numbers I like. Drama.
Why not 0, 1, 2, 3?
Hey?
No.
0, 1, 2, 3.
Oh god.
That's not a good situation either.
Oh.
Yeah, 0 means you've killed someone and drained them.
Not me.
Well,
Probably.
Maybe. We'll
Killing
see.
my Chloe.
He's safe as long as there's no blood spill. However, you are in the midst of a frenzy. It's just not the frenzy that's making you lunge at people. You feel that sensation go over you, almost like water's just dribbling over you. And it's an odd sensation given that most of your senses now, unless they are heightened, are a little dulled from what they used to be. At least everything other than your taste and your hearing and your smell and your, sight. But as it takes effect, you don't feel any different. And Katia is aware that you are there. But whenever someone kind of glances over in the corner, just as a casual glance, just taking stock, oh, there's someone there, not once do their eyes go over you. They all just kind of look towards Katia. There's a few people that observe her for a moment longer than they did before when you were both there, but no one's taking noticeable interest of what you're doing. And then, after a few more minutes, the train pulls in. And the doors just open and people begin billowing out. Some people step forward, their phones clutched to their chest, their book clutched to their chest, their bags held in place, just try and weave in through. And there is an exchange of people onto the platform towards the stairs and onto this tube. And that
is our moment.
Well, before the train leaves?
No. Before, and you step in front of it.
I mean, if you want to, I'm all on board with creative thinking,
Waiting for a train.
Yeah, so... after a few moments, it's not long, we're literally talking about a minute and a half at most. People going in and out, all of a sudden the doors shut. People are immediately, their attention turns back to whatever they were doing, turns towards looking for seats on this on the tube, and then all of a sudden it goes off again. And there is the briefest of moments as people that are still going up the stairs or just moving over to look at maps. there is the briefest of moments that you manage to see where you could slip off.
Yeah, I'm going to slip off. Assumedly you're
So
slipping
you
off,
just see out the corner of your eye, as faintest of movements, and as you turn and look, you just see Ben doing a hopping off the platform and just turning
Okay,
off.
I pick my collar up, my scarf's already quite high up, and I'll just...
Okay. I will say Dex plus stealth, and the difficulty... because it's against their thing, it'll be a +2 bonus to you. Well, what's your teamwork? You've got stealth.
I've got stealth.
I got 1 stealth.
So I can add. I can add dice to.
So you add a die.
I'm assuming I don't need to worry about.
No, they can't see you.
Okay. Hey, there's always willpower, guys. I've got plenty of that.
Yeah, spend it.
To be honest, it's not difficult for you to, unless you completely.
Oh no, it's all right. Ones don't count against.
No.
Oh, they don't count as their successes.
They don't count against successes. No.
Okay, that's 2 successes then.
Ah, yeah.
2 successes. Okay.
There were some ones on those hunger die, right?
Yeah, but they only count if you fail.
Yeah.
I didn't fail. I got 2 successes.
Well, I mean, because this is against someone else, if you roll less successes than them, then yes, they would. However, you didn't, because people are just not paying attention. Difficulty was 1. So it was more cases if you did a Moses.
Yeah.
I just like face plant onto the tracks.
Are we pulling in a Moses?
That's new. Hashtag
pull a Moses.
Pull a Moses.
So you step towards the edge gracefully, 1 step, 2 step, and in that brief moment where someone kind of is turning away from having looked at you as you moved almost towards the train, you just veered and just stepped off. And there's a moment where your feet hit the ground and there's a soft crunch underfoot. You think that someone's about to turn around, but as they start looking around, there's a movement away from where the train was as people stop looking at the map and move up towards the stairs, and they're almost drawn back that way by the sudden flurry of sound, and they just make their way up. And you step around the corner. You can't really see him in the darkness.
Not in the darkness, but I think with see the unseen passively, it's easier for me to see through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing
I mean,
anyway.
yeah. I mean, in this instance, it doesn't matter anyway because he activated it directly in front of you.
So yeah, I will be pushing my senses so I can see in the dark at this point.
Okay. Are you ahead of her?
I'm with her.
Okay.
I'll be with her for the moment.
Yeah. As you are stepping forward, it takes you a moment of moving slightly lower to the ground than you were before, as you can see the trail just still weaving forward into the dark.
We've got the trail back. Come on.
Oh, that's good.
We feel like we're vigilantes or something.
How good of an idea is it for them to just walk alone in a dark tunnel?
Exactly.
Oh, we'll see. The one time that the trains
Well,
are
it's
quick.
not my fault. You guys are sodded off somewhere.
I know, right?
How
Insensitive bastards.
selfish.
Hey, you
It's not
said
Jim's
I'll
fault.
call you. I'm expecting a call.
As Moses repeatedly throws himself against this door, becoming more and more excited as the moments go on. Even though you've stepped away from him, there is something driving him against that. Even though there is an open window, he is paying no attention to it, at least not immediately. And you are half buried out of this window as you push yourself the last few inches out, and your boot comes free, trapped as it was on the handbrake, and you finally come out, almost pinned between the wall and the twisted metal of this car. You finally free yourself, come to a almost crouched stand with you can, as you glance down towards your hand, you can see where one of your fingers is twisted at an odd angle from the break that it sustained, and you kind of almost observe it, and then you can feel on your other hand the burning sensation going up and down it, and the individual in front of you can hear, even though it's not currently controlling your every thought, the of his heart, and his gaze going towards the window, which is only slightly visible, in which Moses is throwing himself against it, and immediately he goes to get his radio that he has.
I'm going to go. Forget that. Go get a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
Run.
We'll say your choice between manipulation or charisma, plus intimidation, or persuasion. because either one can be applicable here.
I'm gonna go manipulation, intimidation, because that gives.
Actually, no. I'd say intimidation. Given that you are, it will be intimidation because you're a scary motherfucker at the moment.
Yeah, that's 2 successes.
2 successes. The moment that you say this, his eyes just go wide, and he looks again at the car. His hand drops, and he just turns and bolts.
Is there anyone else that? Anyone else?
Not that you can just hear the footsteps retreating away. I need another willpower roll from you.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you if I could like spend willpower to. I'm not going.
Oh yeah,
out
you
the
can
window.
spend, or you can roll. With the roll, you're not going to spend one, but if I get another bad roll from you, I will put you in full frenzy.
If I spend willpower, do I have enough control?
You will have enough control to get free of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, but not through the window that gets me next to him. What I said, like you just
you can go out
put
the
my
front of the window.
feet, windshield. I use my potence, the soaring leap, like strength of my legs, just to make it fly open. I don't care if someone sees it.
All right, so you're spending willpower.
Yeah.
Okay. As you're watching him go, you hear it. As you look back down towards the car, you see the entirety of the wind mirror, just the windshield, fly free, cracked as it smashes against the stone away from you and shatters down, its outline just falling hollow upon the ground, and Moses' feet's just jutting through it. Parts of his legs still at an odd angle from the impact of the crash, and he begins pulling himself free of it. There's a moment where his head pops out and then something comes back in. You hear the ripping of a seatbelt and then himself emerging out.
And then
in the last few moments of self-control he exhibits, he reaches through, grabs his beanie, throws it on his head, and then all of a sudden his eyes go wide. His expression just goes impassive otherwise, and then he looks around at you, sees you.
In the opposite direction.
Okay.
I just bolted.
Moses heads directly towards the exit of the not the exit, sorry. Toward the closest exit that he can see is the area that gentleman just legged it. His eyes wide the moment he sees you, and he bolts.
I'm gonna try to move between Moses and that exit.
Okay.
Try and
we will say, because this is a contest of speed, dexterity or strength from you.
Okay.
And it's going to be strength plus athletics from you. Or actually, which one are you using, dexterity or strength?
Running away as fast as I can. Probably strength, because if I can see anything, I can jump towards. Like, I'm forgetting about the masquerade in this couple of seconds. Like, it's already, like, even if I were logical, it's already weird that a car that's been totaled has 2 people out walking and running. So if I'm gonna blow it, I'm gonna blow it all the way, and I'm gonna be using strength, because if there is a place where I can like literally make a 5-meter jump, I'll do that.
I mean, I am counting this just purely because I was being, nice.
No, this is gonna be strength, because I'm gonna be jumping.
Yeah. I mean, I'm treating this more as a ride the wave thing than anything else. Because in theory, if you're in frenzy, you are in frenzy fully. But
yeah, I'm sort of riding the wave because it goes with my compulsion ish. But I also it makes sense to just.
I'm only putting that as a disclaimer here, just purely because I will be reading up on these rules 100% fully later on. So if this changes later, not this situation, but similar events in the future, occur.
Don't knock on wood. It's not nice.
Why? It's nice for me. So you begin bolting, so it's strength plus athletics, strength plus athletics. It is opposed. Moses is the active player, so ties go to Moses.
He's gonna have like a gazillion. Do I add anything for my soaring lips? Potence?
How many dots do you have?
Oh, just 1.
Yeah, I'll say add a die. But this is clearly a masquerade breach if someone sees you, because you are leaping. Yeah, sure.
But I just kicked the windshield out of.
Although for future reference, in a frenzy, you can't choose to use disciplines. But for now, I'll say 2 successes, 3. You throw yourself, and you are fully witness to him launching himself this distance.
He's a frog.
It's similar to a frog, And in the way that he puts his hands upon the ground and propels himself forward is, quite frankly, terrifying. The distance that he covers in the time, but out of sheer reflex, you throw yourself forwards. If you want to attempt to grapple, you can. You are now close enough that you can.
It's more. I'm getting the sense that am I getting the sense that he definitely to get away from me?
Yeah. It is in no way unclear.
In which case, I'm just gonna stand between him and that door and make the biggest possible, lower the fangs in there, basically. Just go the other way.
I'm going to jump the other way.
Okay. Well, the moment that he puts himself on your path, he is an obstacle. Your immediate response is to go straight through him in any fashion required. Because whilst he was the thing that put you in this frenzy,
yeah,
he is now. It's not like he's put himself in front.
Is my compulsion in any way showing through my frenzy?
Not yet, because the beast is in near complete control at this point. The compulsion is it trying to influence you. At this point, it's not like he's put himself in front of you as you're running towards it. You've thrown yourself forward and all of a sudden he's appeared in front of you.
Oh.
Your impulse is going to be to go through him.
The only way out is through.
Okay, so I will say this is strength plus brawl. You can add the one die I gave you before because you've thrown yourself at him.
Okay.
Yours is the same.
Strength plus brawl. Would I be able to then just try and grapple him as he's coming at me?
I'll say this is two-way. If you succeed, you grapple him. If you succeed, you cause damage and move him out of the way.
I've got grappling. I'll add an extra die for that.
Not yet, because you're not grappling. You're attempting. Well, no, yeah. Sorry, it would apply.
That is bad luck. One success.
2.
Oh, that's so close.
Okay. Moses, his eyes wide as you suddenly come in, suddenly narrow, and the visage of your friend vanishes as an absolute mask of rage suddenly flashes across his face. And as he lunges towards you, his fangs bared and open in this horrific maw of teeth, you reach towards his throat, catch him in the momentum, and twist him into a reverse headlock as he suddenly begins thrashing against your grip. His hands trying to get purchase. There's a moment of intense pain going through as he makes contact with your arm. But unlike most individuals which would realise you're in pain and just go for that spot, he's acting purely on instinct and just grabbing whatever he can. He is making a lot of noise.
I'm going to try and face him and throw him away from me, then try and get through that door. Through there.
Well, you're throwing him towards the door?
I'm trying away from the door, then trying myself to move
back in the way I was coming. So he basically grabs me and throws me back,
and then tries to get.
And he goes that way.
Follow the guy.
Okay. It is worth noting, the only other exit is out onto the street. He is in frenzy.
Crap. Reason that I have a bit more control at the moment with that. I'm going to try and.
You two. You continue following this path further and further down the tunnel, and it begins weaving a few different turnings. And there's a moment when you think perhaps you followed this wrong. Because there's one or two occasions where it takes you a few steps back, backtracking to try and refine this trail. And it's difficult for both of you because you can't see him, and when he can see you, he's trying not to guide you because he doesn't know where he's going. But he's also he can't see where you are trying to go. So it's a comedy of errors of sorts, in that you're trying not to outpace her.
Yeah.
But she can't lead because she can't see.
Well, I'll mainly be keeping my attention on other people in this tunnel, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, there is no one in this tunnel at the moment. The only main thing you are keeping your eye out for is the telltale sounds of a train. And it is, certainly for you, a very ever-present fear. I mean, you're aware that vampires are meant to be quite hardy. You have no idea if you can withstand the full impact from a tube train.
I mean, as most tube tunnels, is there about like this much gap between the
there can, but
train and the wall?
If you're following, keep in mind that you can't see this trail in the dark.
I can't. Yeah.
So you have to be as close as you can to the trail. And the trail's going across the tracks.
I mean, I'm probably assuming that if a sign like that happened, you would drag you to the wall or something.
I think that's a very noble assumption. Let's hope that.
If I suddenly feel you Scarborough, I will go in that direction.
Now, from you,
Yep.
this is when your roll is going to kick in.
Yeah.
So you've got the book, so I need you to look at that for me.
It's actually really bad for me.
I think
it's an intelligence plus survival roll.
Yeah. It's that versus difficulty 3 because of the successes that Sabine got on.
Oh, it's a B.
If you fail this, you will become lost in the tube tunnels. Well,
No reception to call more.
well, you're not going to become lost in the tube tunnels. You're going to have to backtrack, and there is always going to be the possibility that you will have trains with witnesses
Yep.
going past, or someone walking across.
Okay.
A total failure means
Yeah.
train.
In that case, I guess it makes sense to rouse at this point. So I will do that for an extra time.
Sorry. I'm trying to be encouraging. It's a good choice, Rouse.
It's a good choice. It's a good choice.
I don't think I'm very popular with my players at the moment.
1, 2, 3 successes.
3. Okay. So it takes you a few moments just to keep, a few back steps to try and find it. And you're just watching as she's getting lower and lower to the ground, just looking for something that you can't quite see. There's a few rats that move back and forth that draw your attention a bit more than whatever this is that she's looking for.
Oh,
but
I
she
need to do
doesn't.
my rouse check.
Yeah.
I didn't forget. It's bad. I'm on 3.
Makes you feel any better. It could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a couple of rounds.
It's okay, guys. You're the least hungry people of the coterie.
Yeah.
Well, there's one more thing I need to do.
It takes you a few moments to double check and find it, but after a few minutes and a few occasions where you have to tear your attention away from it because Benjamin suddenly tenses and you think there's going to be a train, but it's more a case of he can hear a train, but it's hard to place which tunnel it's in, because at this point your hearing is acutely aware in these quiet, echoing tunnels. When there is a train, you might be able to hear a train in the distance and think, oh shit, it's coming down this tunnel.
Yeah.
Because of how well you can hear a train that's a few tunnels over.
Yeah.
And it's hard for you to place which one it is.
Yeah.
But despite that, you manage to follow this ashen cord until it finally veers up and off the tracks and down a maintenance passage.
It's turning off. Can you see where this is going?
Have a look down there.
It looks to be one of the older maintenance tunnels that go off, and whilst there is a way that you can follow it up or that it leads back further onto the tracks, it seems to be going down a fairly old, perhaps still in use, perhaps not, you can't really tell at a glance, utility tunnel.
Is there anyone nearby? Can you hear or smell anything? Apart from rats.
Wits plus awareness.
Wits, awareness. Oh, and I get my Auspex dice, don't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
Nice.
I'm not even going to bother rolling.
Pointless. It's what I do, people.
He stops, and then his expression changes as his head counts, and it's almost like watching a very, very observant animal just suddenly twist and look. Apart from he goes very still as he listens, and then all of a sudden his eyes turn towards the tunnel. Benjamin, you can hear further down this network of passages that go on, you can hear someone cough and a deep voice just talking low, and then someone just giving a gargled response. Not gargled is how it sounds. You don't know whether or not it's necessarily someone that's.
So I think there are 2 people having a conversation down there.
Well, 3.
3.
Given how close the cough was to the sound of someone speaking.
I don't like those odds.
So there are 3.
3.
I'll go.
With 6 successes, you can also hear.
Wait here a moment.
Alright.
I'm gonna also activate Silence of Death.
Okay.
Just for extra stealthage, and then I'm gonna go down the tunnel and see what I can see.
Okay.
Might as well see the situation.
Okay. So, you watch as he goes forwards towards this utility tunnel and turns off. And whilst to your mind you're just stepping quite quite simply through these tunnels. You can hear nothing from him now. The moment he steps off, there is no sound. I mean, it'd put Moses to shame with how silent this is.
This is not turning out to be a nice session for Moses.
Well, don't worry, it's got plenty of time for it to go south for us.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to catch you up.
You begin moving down this tunnel, and as it veers off and goes up a small set of stairs, there is a rusted metal fire exit, which is open very, very slightly by a wedge of cardboard, which is kept just between the actual latch itself and the ridge in the door. And as you kind of move it, any creaking sounds which would normally come from the door are silenced. And as you open it just enough to poke your head in and have a glance, you can see a fire being kept. Just a kind of rudimentary newspaper-covered fire that's being kept in this circular chamber. And there's 2 individuals amongst this debris of maintenance equipment and all the rest that, based upon a cursory glance, hasn't been used in a while. Although if the door's anything to go by, that's not the only thing in this room which hasn't been used for a while. There is 2 individuals sat before this fire, one of which you can instantly recognise as the individual you're looking for. And you can tell this just purely because of how big he is by comparison to the individual next to him. And there is another person which is curled up in semi-fetal position with what looks to be a sleeping bag nestled against the wall, with a beanie pulled down so far over their head you can't quite make out any details of their face, even though you can see this room very well. And the one nestled against the wall is the one that's coughing. The one that you can't quite make out, the one that sounds as though they're gurgling, is the one besides the massive individual. And the deep reverberating voice is the individual you're hunting for.
So, the one who's gurgling, do I think they're being fed on by Chris?
Even with six successes, it's limited what you can see with the door slightly open.
You can't point the heartbeat though. You can't tell which one the heartbeat's coming from though.
The heartbeat, from what you can recall and how loud it was, you probably guess it to be the one closest to you. Because as there was a cough, 6 successes, as there was a cough, the heartbeat sped up and then it slowed.
So the coughing one is the one with the beanie?
And the sleeping bag.
And the sleeping bag in the corner.
Yeah. All of these individuals are turned slightly so that they are looking towards your direction. Not necessarily at the door, but they haven't got their backs to you.
Yeah, okay.
But where you are with... I'm imagining that if you've got the door slightly ajar, you're kind of poking your head around to have a look.
I guess I will... The 2 individuals I've not seen before, I'll have a look to see if there's anything distinguishing about them if I was to bump into them again somewhere.
Okay.
Are there any other exits from this room, apart from the door I'm at, or is this the only door?
It's the only one you can see.
Okay. And so it's just like a small... what was it, once potentially like a storeroom or an office or something?
Yeah, it looks like one of the old kind of passages which was going to be used as something else, something a bit more functioning given its size.
Yeah.
Which, for whatever reason, was just never used.
Yeah.
And instead has old pieces to mend the train lines, or just a whole hodgepodge of items which could be used to service the train lines that have been in here for a while, based upon how rusted that door was, and the fact that they currently have a fire lit in this tunnel, and there are 3 of them, and quite clearly sleeping bags for individuals that you are guessing at a glance, based upon their smell and the way that they are kind of like crested in, and the fact that he's sleeping against this wall. Perhaps they've been here for a while.
And one last question. Is the door... Well, what kind of door is the door? Is this door a metal door?
Yes. It's a fire exit.
It looks like a pretty sturdy, hard to break down door. No?
Perhaps, and it's quite old.
So a big beefy guy, given enough time, would be able to break through this thing pretty easily.
Well, he is considerable of size. He's certainly the largest individual you've ever seen.
Okay.
It's hard for you to gauge because you would have learnt in your certain time. I mean, especially since you've managed to break through a few doors.
I mean, yeah.
You look no different than when you were embraced.
So who knows what he could do? Yeah. All right, I'm going to retreat back to Katia at that point.
Okay. After a few moments, you see him emerge. You don't hear him. There's still silence around him. I'm assuming you're dropping silence?
I'll drop silence, yeah, I can tell this could be really hilarious.
As he drops it, all of a sudden you can hear his footfall. There's... As he steps up towards you.
What did you see? Well, there are 3 of them. I think one of them's got a heartbeat, but the other 2 are, I don't think they do. One of them is Chris. Right. There's no other exits to that room. So I think they've been here a while. I think this is their hideout. Right. So you can argue that we have found out everything we wanted to find out, and there's far too many for us to engage. Far too many. We'd be fools. I mean, one of them does have a cough, and the other one was gargling a bit. But even so, I still think they'd be dangerous.
Okay, let me put this another way. If you half finished a painting for Edmund after he'd explicitly asked you to finish one tonight,
yes.
Would you be like, oh, that's fine?
No, goodness no.
This is the situation I'm in. I have to bring Chris back with me, one way or another.
Said that when we were out there.
I alluded to it.
We can't. But
Hold on, we don't. Look, we have plenty of time. Plenty of time. That's one thing we do have.
So we can get Moses and Jim, and then together they could. I mean, I'm sure Jim could do it on his own.
We don't know what they're doing. I'm trying to think.
Let's move away.
We need to find something.
Retreat a little bit further back, just because, you know.
What were they saying?
They weren't really saying anything. One of them was trying to sleep. One of them was getting this gurgle noise. And Chris was talking, I think.
It was Chris talking, wasn't it?
What did he say?
I couldn't make out what he said.
The talking was whilst you were progressing towards the chamber at that point.
So did I get any sense, like, whether he was, sounded like he was trying to kind of calm or threaten, or there was just like conversation, or did I get any kind of
sounded
register?
more like conversation. The exact words themselves.
Yeah.
I mean.
Okay.
You heard him chuckle at one point, but it was more of a kind of embittered chuckle more than a humoured one.
So I think Chris was talking, and he sounded a bit, I don't know, probably just moaning about life.
Right. So, I suppose we need to we have a location. We can at least get this location to the others.
Yes, I think we go back where we have signal.
Yeah.
Get the others, and then, I mean, then we can all make.
You said it was a single access room.
Yes, there's only that one door, but it's a bit of an old door, so I think they'd be able to break it down if.
It's worth noting that's the only one you could see. In theory, it's a fire escape, so there should be another one.
Oh,
In that case, I'll say that I can see. I mean, I can only get a limited view of the room. There might be another way out, but that was the place they were sleeping, so I think they're going to come back here. Like, this is their haven. Oh, this can be like our revenge. They attacked our haven, we can get that. Oh, this is wonderful.
Exactly. I'm trying to think what can we... They're clearly in confined space to some extent. At least, I mean, yes, there is a door, but...
But surely this is the sort of thing we want to talk to Moses about. It's very clever involving
Okay, we
business
have,
like
we have a location.
Yes,
We have
with
a location.
success.
Problem
Brilliant.
is, yes. But in order to get through to Moses, we either go all the way back,
Yes.
try and slip out of train tracks into a which I promise you is harder than slipping into it. And then we'd have to do that again to get back in.
That is difficult. But I could just go and do it. I mean, I could just go. They won't see me, and then I could text him. Probably.
True, but I'll be here and I'll be blind.
Yes, that's not so good, is it?
It's not so good.
I think we should just leave. And we'll work out our route, as long as you note all the terms and things, and then...
I've probably been writing this down as we go along.
And then we'll get the others, and it will be fine.
And if the others are busy?
But you said they were on their way. They probably just need a call.
I hope so. Alright.
They'll come, and Jim will do horrible things to them, and Moses will have a clever plan about what to do with the bodies afterwards, and everything will be fine.
You don't think it might be better to get out of these tunnels if we can find another access shaft going up?
Oh, if there's an easier way out, then of course.
I mean,
I
you
have
can
no
see.
idea.
Oh yes, yes. I'll see if I can
Yes.
see another way. I'll look for another a near exit.
We'll say intelligence plus survival from you.
Ah, survival. I'm sure I've got
But you are
loads
intelligent.
Or
of that. Let me have a
no,
look.
sorry, intelligence plus streetwise.
Streetwise. Yeah.
Because this isn't
I am so
a
streetwise.
wilderness situation. This is you trying to memorize maps and stuff.
2 successes.
Okay. It doesn't take him long, and the moment he gets onto the tracks, and after a few moments of, he starts moving off down towards the tunnel. The moment that he's got momentum under his feet, he begins leading you back and forth with the same certainty that you were originally leading him towards the tube station. And before long, you manage to find your way quickly back towards Baker Street, which is the closest way for you to get back up.
Yeah.
Without going into maintenance hatches, which may or may not be manned.
Yeah.
There are ways that you can go out quicker.
But no, safe is good.
Okay.
Always safe is good.
It is through sheer fortune and luck
that'll do.
that as you turn the corner towards you slow towards Baker Street, the first thing you listen for is a train, and there is nothing. Well, nothing on this line that you can hear, and there is no sounds of phones, no sounds of pages turning. There is no sounds of people talking, and it's when you come up onto the platform you see no one there, and as you kind of let forward an reactive exhale, as you help Katia up onto the platform as well, you begin immediately moving towards the stairs going up, just in time to see some people turning the corner and starting to come down the platform.
Right. As we're doing this, I would like to send a quick text, firstly to Sabine, saying Thinblood Haven found, extraction commencing.
I love your
I didn't say that we've done that bit yet.
The message doesn't send.
Oh, it's not high enough up yet. Damn tubes. Let's keep going.
Well, I must say that was quite exhilarating in its own way.
Well, yes, we've found what we're looking for, and nothing terrible yet happened.
No, exactly. No, it was good. It was
Now, I wonder if I can build. Let's say we don't get any backup. We need to have an option.
What? Yes, well, the option is we don't go.
I don't really have that option.
I mean,
What if I could?
there were 3 of them, Katia, and one of them counts for at least 2, if not 3, himself.
But
Huge.
What if we could come up with something that didn't involve directly engaging? What if we could find something?
Trap them in the room.
Throw something in the room with them. What if I could construct a nail bomb?
Oh, a nail bomb.
Or something to that end. Anyway.
This is. I suppose then if you could do that, you could. I mean, I don't.
Or something.
This is going out of my area of
I'd rather not
expertise.
involve fire with this because I kind of need. We can't do him in.
We can't do him in. I mean, surely that was the point. I thought you wanted us to do him in. Or do you?
I said I have to bring him. It's unfortunately not the easiest request. He needs to be still alive.
So while we're on the subject of tricky situations, I really ought to see Michael Chase tonight, as I was technically supposed to see him last night. But
And why didn't you?
oh, to teach him a lesson.
Has the lesson been taught yet? Could it wait a bit longer?
Well, that's a very good question. I think Edmund would like it to be a little longer, just so it's clear.
Well, how about we'll do that as soon as we finish this.
All right. That sounds. Do you think maybe I should book a table now, though, so it's set up?
All right. How about
I'll book a table.
we'll get up top side. I will message the others.
Yes.
Then we try and find a hardware store, and see what we can rustle up.
Or if you like.
It always helps to have options.
Yes.
Well, at the very least, we can. I don't know. There's probably something we can do to at least obscure their ability to see what's going on. Or something.
I'm going to need a bit of persuading about this whole 3 of them.
I'm trying to
of
think
us.
of the best way to deal with it.
The best way to deal with it is to get in touch with Moses and Jim.
I know.
And
do you know anyone else? Do you have anyone else who might help you?
What, do this sort of thing?
Yes.
No.
Right, okay.
I mean, what, do you? Do you know people that do this sort of... I didn't even know this sort of thing happened.
I only got all the help I could. I got the help to find the place.
I guess we just hope they answer their phones. You
Yes.
said they're on their way. Maybe they just lost us in the, the tunnels. We might have messages waiting for you.
Do I have any messages waiting for me?
That's that hypothesis shut down.
Okay, okay, send that, once we're kind of, I guess, topside, I will send that message to Sabine quickly.
Okay.
And then, cool noses.
And the other side, like,
Meanwhile,
I think it's at this point where I'm now grappling him. I'm now seeing there's only 2 X's and going, shit.
and as you are trying to figure out what you're going to do with him, and he is thrashing, I need one more roll from you both during this time.
willpower.
Please eat the guy.
No, it's going to be strength plus brawl. If you succeed, you get 3.
This is still grappling.
Yeah. If you succeed, then you can maintain your hold on him.
It's gonna be like 4 successes for him. I had 0.
0.
Actually, it's a visual failure.
Yes, 3, was it?
Yeah.
You knocked one over.
Because it's all
Yeah, that
hundreds.
Oh, if it's cock roll again.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
It's not bestial then.
Oh, sorry, it's not this. 2, 3, 5. Yeah. It's just a failure.
2 over here.
2.
Okay. He continues to struggle. His claws continue to rip towards your clothing, towards his clothing that he's given to you. And you are pulling at it and repping. You can hear it tearing. And you can hear the sound of it tearing over the sound of from behind you. And as you kind of twist your head, you can hear the of footsteps. And as you glance back over your shoulder, the same fluorescent jacket individual that ran off before with a phone at his ear stops and sees you grabbing a thrashing Moses. And his eyes go wide. And then his phone slowly lowers when he glimpses Moses from over the shoulder.
Good boy, go.
One guy on his phone?
It's the one guy that came earlier.
How far away am I from him?
The door was not far behind. If you were to let go of Moses, you could get to him now.
I'm going to let go of Moses, try and slam door and crush the phone.
Okay, right.
I jump through the open door.
What, behind you, or the exit out onto the street? You got the exit towards the street directly out in front of
The
you.
one I was going for.
Okay, right.
Like the moment he lets go of
behind
me.
him? The one that he blocked you off from.
Yes, my original target, which is the door this guy is coming from.
Okay.
Just jump through that door.
Okay.
God.
From you, the moment that you release him, the scrapes on your flesh stop as he turns towards you. His expression, pure animalistic, fangs extended, his eyes wide, and his eyes go straight towards you. He bulks at your proximity and he runs past you, shoulder checking you as he goes straight on, his hands almost grabbing at air in front of him as he just pulls himself forward. The individual who's lower in his phone, his eyes go wide as Moses comes towards him. He almost seems to throw himself back, and distracted as he is, he doesn't seem to focus on you as you come forward. Grab his hand and you can feel the bones twisting underneath as he lets out and drops. His legs go from underneath him out of pure shock and impulse. And his eyes go wide as you wrench the phone from him.
And my fangs are going to be sinking into him. Because there's...
You can hear from the other end of the line. Hello? Hello, are you there? And the phone just underneath your grip.
Finish.
I need you to roll a willpower check.
I don't think he's even bothering. He's going for it.
Means to make like a zillion successes. Taste of blood while at hunger 5 is ridiculous.
This dude.
I mean, what's a few stains between friends?
1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Is that enough?
Just try and take 2 from him. No more.
I need 5.
5 for hunger 5.
As your fangs come away, you are reduced to 0. And all of a sudden, there is a flood of sensations. The first of which is the ebbing of the building of the euphoria that just suddenly drains. The increased pain as nerves that were dead suddenly flare back, and the pain impulses from your destroyed arm shooting throughout your body. The sound of doors being thrown open with abandon and people screaming towards the stairway directly in front of you. The sound in the far distance of cars going back and forth, and the dead weight in front of you of someone who is just staring wide-eyed, his expression one of terror and the thinnest traces of bliss. I need you to mark down. What are your compulsions? Your convictions?
Convictions, dash not kill, save in self-defense.
No, convictions.
Oh, convictions, protect children from harm. So, 3 stays.
He's still got 1 dice to roll, though.
I always have 1 dice.
And you feel, for the first time in a long time, there is no tightness in your gut. There is nothing. And it is strange. It is almost peaceful. And as you're looking away from this body in your hands, and you can feel the drip of the blood from your chin onto the fabric of Moses' clothes, you glance down towards yourself, see all the rips and the tears from inhuman fingernails, and then again you hear the high-pitched scream and the footsteps getting quieter and quieter towards the doorway through which Moses had thrown himself moments before.
I'm going to be taking a moment, remembering the only time before where I've been this since I've been kindred. Then I'm going to hoist the corpse on my shoulder and try and look through the door, see
The
what I
door's
see.
wide open.
Yeah,
Leads towards stairways that goes up. The screams that you can hear are from the floor above you.
Yeah. Is there any way down that I can see, or is there just?
Whilst we do this, Moses, I need. We'll say dexterity plus athletics roll.
2 successes.
Okay. You take 1 additional point of superficial damage.
Ouch.
That's already halved and rounded up. As you begin glancing up the stairs, what you fail to see from your current standing is where you've torn across the floor above, getting yourself away from the stairway and just looking around. All you can see in this haze of reds and blacks and greys, and all you can see throughout this mosaic of blurred colour is someone screaming at you. And as your fangs are bared and you consider for the briefest of moments, rip her throat out. She's in the way, rip her throat out. She throws herself to one side as someone else clutches her and puts himself in front of her, clearing the way. And it's in that split second that your mind suddenly changes to get out. He's behind you, get out. And you throw yourself forward, and you can hear the sound of metal as your foot and your hand makes contact. Then you feel concrete underneath you, and then nothing. As you fly through the air, off the second floor of this multi-story, towards the closest roof. And you land,
Yeah, that's what I'm
and the
doing.
only thing that you can hear is the in your foot as you land, and the bone just breaks out through fabric and dead flesh. But despite that, you bring yourself back up and you run, and you hearing the screams from up above and still being on the bottom floor, you glance back towards where the car is and inhale again as you can hear or smell the increasing volume of petrol being spilled. Jim, think on what you're doing. I'll get a willpower check from you.
Okay.
Remember, with 1 less, because you've taken damage.
Yes. I still have something in my eye.
We don't need to lock nail bombs.
That is 4 successes.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. As you come to your senses, about 2 or 3 minutes later, on a street you don't recognise, nestled between two large metallic bins, pushed yourself in as close as you can to being fetal, and you are suddenly aware of the closeness of this space, of the darkness around you, the sounds of cars whirling by maybe a couple of meters off to your right.
Do I still have my hoodie?
Your hoodie? Yeah.
In my beanie?
Yeah, your beanie's still there. But fear not, your beanie's still there. And then you are aware of the way that your foot is poised underneath you at such an angle that even though you are between these two bins, your foot is tucked underneath the bin to your right from the way that the break is. And in your flight, you can see the way that the bone, having broken up through the skin, is now pitched on its side, widening the hole. And as you are glancing down at this and you feel the pain going through you, you are also intensely aware of the smell of blood and petrol.
And I'm gonna be more aware of the smell of blood, because when your health track is filled with superficial damage, you're impaired, right?
Yeah.
And I am at hunger 4, so I need to heal 1 superficial not to be impaired. I mean, if I want to get out of here, I need to risk going to hunger 5.
It's a break that any mortal would feel, but
yeah, but
it's not aggravated to the degree where you can't put weight on it. But it's one of those ones where people can walk on it, but you're looking at it going, what are you doing? No, sit down. Stop.
No, but the fact that I have my whole health track, because not only tonight, I still have the bruises from my beefy.
Any of the superficial damage that you took, did it over?
No, actually it was exactly like the final one was the last one you gave me.
Okay.
So that's why I'm thinking of, now that I have a little bit more composure, I'm thinking of healing 1 and going to hunger 5.
Before you make this roll, we're going to take a break.
Okay, I need to wash my eye. I have like something in my eye since like I don't know, since forever.
It's probably a bit of glass from that windscreen.
Yeah, probably it's a windshield. Like
we're going to take a break, guys. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Whilst these lovely people go over some more of the rules. If anyone has any questions from the chat or something, we can answer them. And we'll be back in 10 to resume this. Cavalcade of.
I think it's called a clusterfuck, right?
Yeah.
Well, I did say someone was going to get killed.
Scientific term, yes.
Yeah.
I prepared a little piece of paper for the death board.
Oh, for the
we have to include the bright jacket guy.
Right. So there's not a big change to the relationship. But McBeefy Thinblood over here, we learned, is actually called
Chris Young.
So we're going to flip him and put him back on the board. And I think, is that it?
Well, I mean, in terms of people we've met that actually have some bearing on any of our characters, I think that's it.
I think that's it too, and I don't think anybody got added to the death board either.
No.
Although, you know, next time...
we do need to add, maybe, should we add fluorescent jacket guy? Car park attendant guy?
Yeah, maybe, for next time. And obviously we've got all kinds of Thinbloods we'll add for next time as well.
Fingers crossed. What were these?
So a question, one from ShadowGamer264. For Benjamin.
Oh, hello.
While making a Malkavian,
yes.
Does it help to research mental illness? What abilities are your favourite and would be useful making one?
So what abilities?
Yes, what abilities are your favourite? And I
probably like skills and stuff.
Oh, right, okay. So... yeah, I think one of the things about playing a Malkavian is deciding whether you're going to go for, if you like, a pre-existing mental illness, or whether you're going to come up with some kind of particular delusion that is unique to your character. And I certainly, and at the end of the day, how you choose to play a Malkavian is entirely up to you. But I feel that, in a way, you have to be... I feel like it's good to be respectful. Like, so if you are going to choose to play with a pre-existing mental illness, to know something about it, so it's not a kind of stereotype or an insult to someone who is suffering from it. Because the thing about mental illness is it's extremely debilitating and
yeah, very very real.
And very real. So there is that, and also, so I would certainly think about that, and also think about what will be enjoyable to roleplay. You know, because some illnesses or delusions that you choose for your Malkavian will potentially pull you away from the group, the coterie, or will stop you participating in things. So I would have a think about what could be interesting or fun from that point of view. So there were some other bits to that question, wasn't there, about
favourite abilities?
Well, I mean, I think what's nice in terms of, and I assume we're sort of talking about disciplines here when we're talking about abilities to do with playing. Well, one of the things that I kind of like with V5 generally is that you get a bit of flexibility when you're choosing disciplines. So the same discipline dots don't necessarily mean the same powers between two different vampires. There's a really nice sort of special called Dementation, which if you have Dominate and Obfuscate as a combination, you can take Dementation as a level 2 Dominate power, and that basically enables you to talk people into madness. So whilst you're having a conversation with them, there is a kind of a separate pattern of communication going on that drives the recipient mad in some way. So you can actually, in game terms, you can attack their willpower directly, and you can give them some kind of, if they're a vampire, you can give them a compulsion. And the nice thing about that is they don't know you're doing it to them. So that could be a lot of fun. Obviously, Benjamin has not used that ability, so whether I have it or not is another question. But it is pretty fun.
What was the question?
About what are fun kind of abilities for Malkavians.
Oh.
I do like the fact that you have a bit more degree of freedom over, depending on your predator type, depends on what disciplines you can take.
Yes.
So I guess you could say I mained Malkavians before playing Tremere, and man, my previous character, a Malkavian with presence, would have been so much fun.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Of course, you can go for other disciplines, but I guess the main thing I would come back to is making sure you don't have some kind of delusion or derangement that is going to make it impossible for the other characters to have you in their coterie.
Yeah. Also, the famous term known as fish milking, where you basically play like, I don't know, it's a stereotypical teenage girl in a miniskirt clutching a bunny or something. And, oh man, I've seen so many examples of that.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that as Edmund?
Oh God, that'd be a nightmare.
So we got one other question, which is from Mighty Paintbrush, who's just curious about why you chose the clans that you did.
Let's start with you, brother.
I'll start with the reason I chose the clan Gangle is, as I've mentioned before, this is my first time playing this game, so I was looking going, what does any of this mean? I have no idea. Having heard that it can be very political, I'm going, I have no idea if the game just gives something to do. So two clans came to mind with that, the Booyah clan and the Gangle clan. Very much with that, and with the Gangle clan, I kind of like their more feral nature for me. I think that's and as well as one thing that whenever I'm playing a role-playing game, I try and put a bit of myself into the character. So maybe it's an aspect of myself I try and put through to learn a bit more about myself with that. So a little insight to me there. Clan Gangle to explore that and have a go with a clan that doesn't give a shit about the politics, because I don't understand the politics at all at this point. I'm trying to learn.
Unfortunately, as it often happens, you have no choice but to care about the politics.
I will have to adapt to. Yeah, that's why I chose Gangle.
So I've played quite a bit of Vampire before. Funnily enough, the clan I played most prior to this was Clan Gangrel. But I played both the physical style and the social side of Clan Gangrel is actually really fun. I'd also played, I played quite a bit Malkavian.
I played a Gangrel Bloodline in a Sabbat campaign, which was wild. I've done a lot of Sabbat. But yeah, Tremere I never played before. I'd read up on them a lot, and fun enough, we built these characters before V5 came out. And obviously, if you're familiar with V20 or other previous editions, Clan Tremere changed a lot with the new V5 rules. So there was a lot of kind of changing things around, but I kind of like how the clan's a lot neater now. I'm really excited for when the Camarilla book comes out. That's going to be really cool. But I guess, yeah, I want to try something different with Clan Tremere. They have their own fascinating kind of social structure and stuff going on behind the scenes, which is quite fun. And yeah, I guess you could say much like Katia, like I kind of wanted the experiment. It was going to be fun. So yeah, that's probably why for me.
So I suppose why Clan Malkavian? I like the fact that Malkavians have an extra level of kind of complexity. You know, that you are someone who's become a vampire and you have to deal with all of that stuff like everybody does. But there is also the fact that in some way you perceive the world differently to everybody else, and that isn't, and that two Malkavians can have completely different issues. And that sort of excites me or appeals to me. Obviously, in Benjamin's case, there is no problems, as you can tell. He's pretty balanced. I think, of all the characters, has been the most sane in reacting to everything that's happened, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's why I like Malkavians, because I think there's this extra kind of bit of fun, and also that thing of people trying to figure it out, like, well, what is wrong with that one? What's going on there, you know? Yeah, so that's me.
Well, for me, I've been playing vampires since I think the game came out and was available in Latin America when I started playing it, like since the mid-90s. So I've played it a lot. I've played a multitude of clans, bloodlines, and whatever. And I've always liked the Nosferatu because they are the clan that, in my opinion, they are the only clan who have to, in some way, relinquish their humanity, not their inner humanity, but their interaction with humanity, unless they do it through tricks, disguises, or disciplines of the blood. They cannot make themselves, especially in earlier editions, before V5, all Nosferatus were completely deformed, monstrous. Now they are definitely repulsive, but they can pass off as pretty ugly humans, at least if your Bane severity is very low.
Yeah. I'd say that Bane severity 2, you're looking at someone who is the kind of hideous where people are trying to take pictures, people are hounding, people are taking special note, and when you get to 3, you can't pass as human anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But it's always a clan that has always presented itself with that duality of, like, the struggle of the beast versus humanity, because though they are the ones who have it rougher to keep their humanity, in some sense, if for a Ventru or a Toreador or a Tremere, it is the interaction with others, kind or kindred, and societies, you know, mortal or immortal. Nosferatus have each other, and that's it. And that is a quick path to degeneration of your soul. So it is one of the toughest struggles to keep that balance between your humanity and your interactions as a human and your beast, which is going to be there, and it's always going to be a constant reminder and every time you see your reflection, because part of your beast shows. So I think it's very interesting.
Does that more or less cover our 10 minutes?
I would think so.
Yeah, probably does.
And now I can see. And
thanks for the questions, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I only have eye stuff in my eye. Like,
oh, good.
So if Moses dies, you have to stop wearing the beanie.
Yes. But we can memorialise it on the death board.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the board.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I rouse my blood and heal to avoid any, well, to avoid being like completely incapacitated and also have.
Okay. So coming back into it, are we all back?
You're back.
Coming back into it. Hello, guys. Thank you for the questions, by the way. We do love having them. So if you ever do have any more questions, please pose them to the people on the chat, and they will get passed along to us either in the break or at the end of the stream. So, Moses, we'll begin with your check.
Yes! I'm still at hunger 4, and I heal 1 level.
Okay, Jim, however, hunger 0. I need to update that.
Beautiful. 10. Beautiful, beautiful.
So, there is a moment of adjustment as you, one after the other, become aware of each of your senses prickling back up, and no longer are you merely focused on blood and fear as the sense and the emotion which is overriding everything. Although the beast is still there and is still very much reminding you that you are hungry, the pain begins making itself extremely prominent within your catalogue of senses, and you focus upon the leg as you bring it out and lie it out in front of you, and you push down on the bone until it vanishes beneath flesh, and as you hear it kind of crack back into place, your limb seems to pull itself of its own accord in an almost slithering sensation until it's right, and then the flesh begins slowly knotting and peeling over the top of itself. And then, as you watch this in front of you, there's a very uncomfortable sensation as all of your nerves slowly remind you of each movement of your flesh until it's whole. And it's like loads of little ants and spiders just moving towards one point on your knee. And then it's gone. Yeah. It's like pins and needles, just more painful. And then as the flesh knots together, you bend your leg, and it's fine. And you don't feel any hungrier than you were before, but that's not a great kind of comfort to you, because you're fucking starving. You're hungry.
Sort of, where am I?
You are not aware. You know you're in an alleyway between 2 dumpsters. You know you can hear cars about 2 meters, 3 meters maybe off to your right. So you are not quite sure of where you are. But as you kind of get slowly to your feet and peer around the dumpsters, you can see cars moving back and forth. You see one bus turning a corner, just going past, 1 or 2 people walking back and forth. And then as you move and glance to the other end of the alley, you can see just off in the distance, about 1 or 2 streets over, just the top of the multi-story that you recall barreling into.
Okay, so buses, multi-story, people. This looked like a commercial area. I breathe in. I want to feel everything. Do I smell like dog shit around, or cat shit, or whatever? Good. I start.
It's also worth noting that to get a reliable sense of things periodically, yeah, I mean, unless you stop every step and remind yourself to inhale, you're not going to inhale.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing it right now in this place to see if I.
Yeah, there's nothing immediate. I mean, you can smell all the rubbish next to you.
Okay.
You can smell. Petrol.
How tall are the structures that make the alley? This is like a 1-story, 2-story?
Yeah, no more than about 1 story. I mean, they look like they're shops of some variety. Although, based upon what you're currently looking at, you can't make out the brand. You just know you can. There's a lot of foot traffic for this late. I mean, it's not late. You're not talking past midnight, but it's late.
Yeah, and my clothes are torn. You know, I dig into the trash.
Okay.
Trying to find pieces of clothes or whatever. Not clothes, like cloth or anything similar, like bags, things like that, like, you know, bin bags,
yeah,
black ones. I'm gonna do my best hobo impression my clothes are already torn and dusty. I'm gonna walk out of the alley, but I'm gonna be like covered in like bags and all that. It's winter, so it's just another hobo trying to keep himself warm.
Okay.
With whatever. If I find like something that can be used as a blanket or whatever, I'm just gonna start walking with it covered. It's gonna be complicated and it's gonna be awful, but I need to get to a less busy area before I lose it.
Okay. We will say then, since you are currently wrestling with your hunger, we'll say humanity plus. We'll say crafts, because you're basically constructing a rudimentary kind of thing.
You're trying to deceive people into
with
humanity.
With your bane severity in effect. You got your hunger dice in there, yeah?
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, actually, everything is hunger die. I just changed for...
Okay.
Since I have more normal die than hunger die.
Messy crit.
Nope. But it's 4 successes.
Oh, nice.
You climb into one of these bins. You are uncomfortably aware from your momentary inhale earlier that the contents of these bins are very strong smelling, giving you this on the faintest edge of your mind that you are probably between at least one restaurant. But that goes out of your mind as you grab hold of a bin, undo the top, upend the contents out, and pull it over your head with enough force to put your head out the other end. And
I stopped breathing, by the way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Unless you've got Blush of Life, it's going to be purposeful breaths all the way through.
Yeah.
And it would be quite comedic the way that you are trying to pin this on yourself, but to anybody else that's looking, you very much fit the part of one of those individuals that that most people try not to notice. As unfortunate as that is, you manage to get yourself into that, certainly in that state of mind, because if you try noticing anyone, you're not sure what you're going to do. And as you kind of finalise your disguise and pull on your beanie, it's the only bit of comfort you've currently got, this familiar sensation on your head. You step out of the alleyway and just turn the corner and begin walking, and you can hear footsteps. You can feel the occasional glance in your direction, but more than anything else, you can hear that incessant noise in the back of your head, and you do your absolute level best to focus on any and all other sounds to just drown it out, but it's always there. Where are you headed?
I'm heading to my haven.
Okay.
So I'm going underground soon.
Okay. Jim, when we left you, you had a freshly drained individual, a phone that you just crushed in the middle of a phone call, people screaming on the floor above you,
and a car,
a petrol pumping car which is totaled, and the sounds in the distance of sirens.
I'm going to move the body towards the car, trying to search it to find anything in pockets.
Okay. In his pockets there is simply a wallet. There is also what looks to be a keychain with numerous keys, one of those little photo holders, and almost like a child's flashlight, one of those ones that you press down and it just illuminates. There's nothing else on him.
I'll take the flashlight, take the wallet. I'm gonna take his dressing jacket is full sleeve.
Yeah.
I'll take the jacket off him. Then I'm gonna be putting him in the car, putting the jacket on, trying to cover myself, pocketing the wallet and the little flashlight. Then I'm gonna try and light the petrol covered car.
You and fire, man.
Hey.
I will give you a choice.
He's trying to pull a Moses. That person would try.
I will give you a choice between 3 attributes for this.
Right.
Because I could see anyone working, and it kind of depends on your approach. Wits, composure, or dex.
I'll take the dex.
Okay. Plus. We'll say athletics, because you're trying to do a lot in a very quick space of time.
Very rare roll, because I have no hunger dice to this.
Oh yeah, weird.
Funny that.
1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the
from a
it is odd. I mean, the energy with which you had to apply everything you were doing before, there was no consideration, there was no thought towards doing things delicately, there was no thought towards anything like that. And the remains of your side of the car are a tribute towards that single-mindedness. But now in this brief moment of clarity, remind me actually to satisfy your clan bane, because actually no, you didn't go into a frenzy.
I didn't get frenzy.
I'm thinking of you. Sorry. As you wrench open the door on your side, because you cannot get his open, you open it, push him in, manage to half turn him so it looks like he's fallen out of the seat. I'm assuming is where you're going with this. And then as you try and wedge the door back, it won't fully shut from the impact, but you get it as close as you can. And then you step away, and you're going to light the car.
I'm going to light the car.
Okay.
Famous last words.
I will say, how many successes did you roll?
I got 4 successes.
Okay. Roll, I'll say roll Dex plus Athletics again, with 2 additional die, before you go and light this. This is to see if you got any petrol on you. Because it is pumping petrol.
4 successes.
Okay. You managed to light it or a match. I'm assuming you're carrying something like that. You light it, and then... Is it a lighter or a match?
Would probably be I'd probably have a box of matches, I reckon.
Okay. Are you tossing the match on?
I'm as far away back as I can, tossing the match on.
Okay. You toss the match on, and immediately the fire begins travelling, snaking its way down.
And I'm back.
It's almost beautiful, and you'd almost be... There's a briefest of moments where you feel like you can appreciate the beautiful symmetry of just how it spreads across the edges and then pushes towards the car. But even without your hunger, there is a part of you which is suddenly beginning to get gripped, and your body begins tensing of its own accord, and without realising it, you're half turned towards the door, and you stop yourself. Which one are you going out of?
I'm going out the door, and Moses just went through.
Okay. You bolt towards the door and then take up the stairs. Not in a full flight like Moses was, even though you can smell the petrol going up behind you. And you double up the stairs and come out onto a floor, and where you can see there is a woman in her 40s, late 40s, 50s, currently nestled against a car, and she is pointing towards the far end of this platform with an older gentleman there who is currently speaking to her. And as he kind of finishes saying whatever he's saying, and she's paying no attention to him, but he stops and then glances up towards you as you turn the corner.
Fire! Get out! Fire!
Okay, I need to... You are one lucky bastard.
Yes!
This is to see whether or not he pays any attention to the multitude of blood that is currently poured down your throat. And the moment you say this, he quickly turns back towards the woman at his fore, grabs her underneath the arms, lifts her, and starts ushering her off towards the stairway, the fire escape leading up and away. And as he kind of ushers her away, she continues to point towards the far end of the platform. Her eyes are wide, almost as though she's like gripped in mild hysterics, but she's not saying anything. And then as he pushes her towards the stairway going back, he turns and glances back towards you, doesn't say anything, but then pushes her down and then just goes there. In that way, people are like, shit, this is larger than I want to be gripped around, I don't want to be held up, I'm going. And he just goes down the stairs.
I'm going to move to the edge, look over the edge, see whereabouts this edge looks over.
The edge looks directly over the streets below, and you can see the crumpled concrete from where the car made contact on the way in.
I'm going to try and find an edge that's over an alleyway beside.
It's not the multi-story that you're in doesn't really have an alleyway. The only closest alleyways that you can see are on the opposite side of the street, a fair distance away. What do you want to do?
I want to.
You could go to either side and try dropping out. It'll be less obvious than you just jumping down the front.
Yeah,
but there is going to be a risk that you're going to be seen. There's roads around this multi-story.
Yeah.
You can try and jump to the other roof.
How far is the other roof?
A distance. I mean, it's a road's distance across.
Nope. I'm gonna look to.
Come on, Neil.
I'm gonna try and find a side that would
there
be.
There is no spoon. Sorry.
Yeah. Try and find. Go to a side that will hopefully be less obvious for me to get out. How far is the drop?
2 stories.
Then I'm going to focus for a moment. Activate weight of the feather. First time using that, yay! And then I'm going to try and.
Is that a rouse check or is it?
I just need to focus for a moment, and then activates. And then
it does.
It means that I weigh as much as a feather. I can drop from ridiculous heights and keep walking.
In which case,
but my strength.
You're not actively hiding at this point. So what is your dex plus stealth?
Dex plus stealth is a total of 7 dice.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll say roll that rather than taking half, because I don't take half for you guys. So.
4.
Okay. You move over towards the edge. You can hear the sirens coming closer. You don't know whether or not it's just the rising panic that the beast can feel, based upon your proximity to heat. Even though you can't see it, even though you can't really smell it because you're not actively forcing yourself to breathe anymore, even though you can't hear any difference in sound beyond the faintest of crackles, it's almost like your beast is trying to warn you that the floor is burning. And there's an uncomfortable sensation where your feet just don't want to stay still, almost as though you're making contact with a hot surface. And you move yourself towards the edge. You glance around, making sure there's no one on this platform. And there's 1 or 2 cars still here. You're pretty certain that one belonged to the couple that just ran. And reasonably comfortable that you're not going to be seen, you just move your hand slightly away from your side and just tilt forwards. And you let gravity just grip you. And even though you fall at a steady pace, the moment you hit the ground, your legs just bend almost as though you've just taken a slight leap. And then you just land, immediately straighten yourself and just glance to either side. And you can't see anyone. Where are you going?
I'm going to first drop the weight of the feather so I have my usual strength back. And then I'm going to look around, see where the nearest alleyway is, and try and duck into that alley.
Okay. There is one directly across from you between 2 of the buildings. It's not a long alleyway, it's pretty much just one separating the 2 buildings. But you managed to push in a fair distance. Reasonably comfortable that no one's seen you go in. And then...
pull out my phone, then finally see a message from Katia. I go, huh, cool, Katia.
Hello?
Hello. Right. Your message saying you needed...
Yes.
Yeah.
I need you.
Is Ben around to be able to drive, pick me up? I'll have to find out where the hell I am at the moment.
We don't have a car with us right now.
Right.
You say you don't know where you are. Find your street sign, find the nearest tube station, make your way to Baker Street Station.
I might have to find a little change of clothes first, and you probably won't be seeing Moses probably for a little while, unfortunately.
Right. Okay. Please tell me that nothing disastrous happened.
Moses crashed the car.
I mean, that in itself isn't terrible. Were you both all right?
I'm a little more dinged up. Moses.
Define dinged up.
I'm a little more hurt. The arm's a bit better, thanks to last night. But
Why was your reaction to those sirens shit, Jim?
Fire. Click.
What is it with him and fire?
And I'm going to be straight
don't even want
out
to
alleyway,
know.
try and look at bearings and try and
Jim's
to.
coming.
Intelligence plus streetwise.
Well, that's fine. If Jim comes, then I'm sure he can handle
I hope
3
so.
people.
Are you trying to memorize it, or are you actually going to ask people?
I'm just trying to memorize it because I'm not in any position.
No,
to
you're not.
ask people now.
Good.
Yeah. 2 successes.
Okay. It takes you a long moment. It's distracting being this close to a siren. And as the fire engines pull up, and for the second time in a very short space of time, they're there to deal with the handiwork of the coterie. Or people affiliated with the coterie.
Yeah.
I saw that eye roll. You slip out and begin moving down streets, and you don't really recognise where you are, but it's London. There's directions to tube stations all over. And as you manage to duck into one, it's not heavily trafficked at this point. And it takes you a moment of staring at this map, trying to understand how the fuck you get from where and where do you have to go to get... You finally managed to pick a path that would take you towards Baker Street. Fortunately, whilst Moses was speeding his ass off trying to get to your haven, it brought you relatively close to this tube station. So it's not a long walk, but to get to Baker Street, it's not going to be as easy as just hopping on one and then getting off the other end. You've got to change routes at least once to get there. So there's no guarantee when you're going to arrive.
Yeah. After that, I'm going to pick a phone to Katia again and go, right,
Doesn't answer.
I've got Ben.
Doesn't answer.
Out of charge.
Hello. I'm underground, aren't I? Fuck. Back up.
Runs back upstairs.
Yeah.
I think we start realising this.
No, cool.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm at the station. I'll be on my way to Baker Street shortly.
Awesome.
If you could get me some a change of clothes, that would be very useful.
I'm sure we can find that. I think Ben would delight in such activities.
Yeah.
See us just outside Baker Street Station. Maybe outside, I suppose, the men's toilets or something. Then you can get changed.
Yeah. Yes. No, I'll be on.
Please, don't be obvious.
I'm gonna do
whatever you're doing.
Yes, I'm gonna try and be as.
If it's any consolation, I need you to punch someone very hard.
Thank you.
Bye. How do you fancy doing a little bit of clothes shopping?
Well, the only thing is, I'm quite hungry, and I don't know.
So am I.
Well, I'm just thinking that going into a shop.
This isn't our domain.
No, what I mean is that if I'm going to go and buy clothes, then I'm going to need to make myself look more agreeable, aren't I, to the shop assistant? And if I do that, I might get even more hungry, and that could be awkward.
All right, other
in
option.
a shop.
Other option. We find a charity shop. Of course, I'll be shut by this time. You know, people leave clothes in bags outside.
Oh, I like your thinking. That's clever. Yes, let's try that.
Roll me wits plus awareness, both of you.
Ooh. Wait, I think that's 4.
Wits plus awareness, you say.
2 successes.
Nothing.
What?
Just straight nothing. No, just
that many
Okay.
days?
Successes.
Something like that.
What?
Ridiculously bad roll.
I still have like my scarf quite high up and my collar up. It's kind of like I look like I'm cold because it's January.
And what did you roll?
I rolled 2 successes.
Okay. Whilst Ben is thinking on what you've just said, whilst he's planning and so given his response to you, you glance over his shoulder towards the tube exit and realise that you are currently being watched by someone that has just ascended the last step. And the hulking individual which is standing there with a hood up, just covering most of his face, his hands in his pockets, this is the same individual that you have been told about, and he is unmistakable for his sheer size and the way that he is just staring at you. It's quite clear that he's not been there staring for a while. He is, based upon the expression on his face, it's quite clear that he has just clocked you.
Right.
And the moment that he makes eye contact with you, he suddenly turns sharply in towards a crowd of people that are moving off and starts following them. And as he turns, you realise that he has in his right hand a sizable duffel bag. Roll one more time for me.
Same.
Wits plus awareness. Or intelligence plus awareness, actually.
Oh, that's better.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
You can see out of the very top of this what appears to be a jerry can. And then as he moves and he glances back towards you and he continues moving off with them, you can also see the handle of a second jerry can.
Well, firstly, I try and make it obvious that. Well, I try and make it look as if I didn't see him. I'm gonna turn to Ben. I go, "Oh, darling, you're gonna get cold. For goodness' sake, pull your coat up."
All right.
You're trying to make it unobvious to him?
I want to make it look like I didn't see.
What, to him?
Yeah, because even if I glance past, I don't want to make it look like I made eye contact
We'll
with him.
say composure,
Okay.
because you are hiding emotion rather than trying to misdirect something. It's all about hiding the realization. Plus subterfuge.
Okay.
Or performance, your choice.
It's going to be subterfuge.
Okay.
No, the other
worse
one.
than that.
Maybe it's your failure.
It's the compulsion ritual going around the merry-go-round.
It's her turn to have a compulsion next.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do about that.
How many successes did you roll?
No successes.
You could spend a willpower to re-roll
up to 3
the
dice.
normal.
Yeah, I'll do that because otherwise it's bad news. Bad news, Pamela. Okay, so I'm spending one
Wait,
willpower.
how many?
You can only roll
I
one
can only
dice.
roll
non-hunger dice. do you have?
One.
Yeah, because
I have to roll
It
one
depends,
success.
but then it depends what he gets. Obviously, it's a contested roll, isn't it? If you get one and he gets
That
none,
grin.
then
Doesn't matter.
Oh. No.
okay, mark off superficial willpower.
Oh, can I borrow that? Thank you.
You are the active participant,
I am.
so you succeed because he rolled none either. Sorry, that was a dick move on my part. I shouldn't have told you, but yeah. You are very committed to this performance, and whilst he doesn't outwardly show any sign that he's noticed you. You noticing him. There are a few people that are kind of looking around at you, not necessarily out of what you're saying, but more his sudden intense "What are you doing, crazy lady?" response to your sudden change of topic.
Chris has just exited the subway. He's carrying more gasoline or something. He might be going to finish the job.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think he noticed. I don't think he saw that I saw him.
Right.
But he's alone. So it's now or never.
Which way was he going?
The direction he took, was it vaguely towards what might be the domain?
Towards yours?
Yes.
No. I mean, if you're talking pure direction.
Illuminate the trail of prey. Is it still in effect? Because it's not been that long. Has the path changed?
Yeah, it's following it.
Change of plan. I can track him. We can follow where he's going.
Yes.
We get Jim to rendezvous with us.
Yes. Great. I like this plan. Let's do this.
Okay, we've got to go now.
Right. Yes.
But we can if you can just track him in your strange way that you do, then we don't have to. We can let him be a few people ahead of us.
Except he might just burn down our entire haven.
But if we get close to a haven, then we could run.
All right. Okay, fine. And I'm going to call Jim again.
You're calling Jim?
Yep.
Oh. Hello.
Hi, Jim. Okay. Chris, the one we're trying to find, he's left his haven. He's on the move. He looks like he's going to go finish what he started. He's got a lot of jerry cans with him.
Shit.
I can track him. I can follow him. I need you to rendezvous with us as soon as you can. I'm going to send you constant updates to where we are. Just please join us.
Yeah, I'm on my way. If you can get me some clothes, that would be useful. Anyway,
you can't turn them inside out. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Fine. We're going to do this, like you say. We have eyeball on him. We can always speed up if we're worried. He did like he's going on foot. All right, so detour. We find a charity shop on the route as possible, close as we can.
We can't stop going.
No, we can't.
In a time like this. That's insane.
I mean, I'm talking about the walking breach that is Jim.
Well, he could have my jacket. Would that help?
Probably, yeah. You two can just swap clothes or whatever.
No, I don't want his clothes.
I'll text you. You're gonna have to make.
No, carry on.
You're gonna have to make do with some of Jim's stuff because there's no time to lose. And we go.
Some of Jim's stuff. Jim's? Question mark.
Oh, I mean Ben. Look, I'm ill, guys. Please.
Okay.
Okay. So where are you heading?
We are following, but not. I don't think we're not rushing. We're just
we're not like
walking.
right on his heels, but because we've got magic tracker, we're gonna follow. So there's a few people between us and him. I will be keeping an eye out for people in beanies who are not him, and people who are making strange gurgling noises. No, just the one I saw, just the one with the beanie.
Okay.
Just because she recognised Chris, but there might be the other one out as well.
Sure. Wits plus awareness.
What resolve? So wits plus awareness.
Yeah. Okay. Resolve. I'll say resolve.
He's kind of hungry, so.
If you are actively looking for this one thing, I will, however, say that if anyone else is trying to do anything that doesn't match your criteria, it'll probably be easier for them to.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, for me not to see them. Yeah. I guess I'm probably not heightened senses at them.
That's entirely your call. However, there is a lot.
Yeah, no, it'd be
distracting
too much.
stuff going
Too
on.
much here. Yeah, no, I won't.
Yeah, there is always the fun thing of sensory overload. If something loud suddenly goes off in your ear.
Oh, excellent!
That is a critical success.
It's a critical win, and it's
Tasty one.
so that's 4, 5, 6,
successes.
7 successes. That's right.
Nice.
Like
So
a critical
aware.
win and a critical win.
Holy shit.
Not messy.
He can Moses too.
You've had such a good session.
You are on fucking fire in the best possible way. As you are observing Chris.
Don't tell Jim.
Not only is he moving hurriedly, he is taking a very open route in terms of as soon as he has turned a couple of corners with this group of people, he splits off from them and then continues walking. There's a number of bus stops he passes, bus stops that you know would take him closer towards your domain, and he doesn't go there. He doesn't climb on them. And you're observing this as you're keeping an eye out for the other individuals that you noticed before, and they're not there. They're not following you, they're not following him, they're nowhere in sight, and you'd certainly recognise the gurgler if he was following. But as you two continue to trace this path, he begins leading you towards an area that you are unfamiliar with. It appears almost to be like the start of a residential area. You're not quite familiar where it is.
I send Jim the street names as we go.
Okay.
And I'm like, could he be targeting someone else?
Do I recognise
We could do
street
someone
names
a
when I get
favour.
them?
I will say, Jim, intelligence plus streetwise. If you get 4 successes or more, you will get there before before we progress with your bit. Any less, we'll cut down on the time.
Do my detailed directions count as assistance?
Yeah, teamwork. I'll say teamwork. So you
Yay.
get 1 additional die.
Didn't I?
Do you have streetwise?
No.
Then no.
I was going for more intelligence, but okay.
No.
Dang it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I can make a rouse to add additional die.
You can.
Yeah. If you really want to
He's
leave
got
I
lots of bird.
3
Who
dice.
wants to
So
start being hungry?
I have 3 dice, so
you can
Well,
always
Do
get-
it, do it,
But you
do it, do it.
that's a success.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's worth it.
That is worth it.
2 successes.
So you won't get there before whatever happens next, but you're not going to be like
Don't like that phrase.
the longest
Too
possible.
late.
Whatever happens
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
Do I recognise the street name, the area?
I mean, your knowledge of your domain is quite considerable. This is outside of your domain.
Would I know if it's near where Sarah's address is?
It's not in Sarah's address, no. You begin following him towards what is now clearly a residential address. And you are keeping far enough away, and his observations of him is astute enough that he knows when to slow down and when to pick up pace. And you're giving her quite intense directions on how to trail. And then before long, Chris suddenly comes to a stop and just looks up at a 2-story house. And he is staring up towards a window, which is... It's almost like colourful curtains. And he's looking towards the front entrance after a moment. He begins making a slow circle, keeping his gaze up, and there's once or twice when he looks around towards your direction and you pull Katia back behind a car and just watch him through the wind mirror. And he observes for a long moment down either before he makes his slow way around to the front of the house. And he seems to be checking to observe if there's a car there. And there isn't a car there. And then he goes around to the front porch, and then he reaches for something in his pocket and just slowly begins working on the door.
And he seem to look very specifically at the window with the coloured curtains. Okay, I'm going to say to Katia, I think he might be going after a child.
Fuck him then.
I don't think I can just not do anything about this.
And I am visibly very, very pissed off. Like, this is actually the first time I think I've actually seen him. I didn't know what he looked like before I heard what happened to Will. So I'm very much in agreement with you.
I mean, this is an individual that has a good 200 odd pounds on you. He's big and he fills that door frame, but you can tell from the subtle movements that he's making and the way he's obscuring what he's doing, it almost looks like he's going for keys. But it's clear he's not going for keys.
Is he moving in a way that suggests he is still suffering? I mean, I don't know, obviously, in character that Moses bit his arm, but does he look like he still has an injury?
Intelligence plus insight.
Did get a good awareness thingy, Bob.
Yeah, +2.
Intelligence plus insight
plus 2 dice.
Oh, critical win.
Another critical success.
You wait till the fight. I will not get a critical win for anything.
6 successes.
Yeah.
The way he's holding himself on one of his hands, you can tell by the way that he was carrying the bag, reasonable deduction that he is right-handed. But the way he is currently positioning himself and the way that he is moving with his shoulders suggests that he's not turning his arm fully. And he is holding himself like someone that has an injury of the elbow.
Okay.
And then as you are observing this, he suddenly stops moving, glances open, and then pushes the door, and then steps in and shuts it behind him.
Whilst this is going on, I just want to check something and see what your call is on it, because the book isn't specific about the range of cloud memory, and I'm just curious. It doesn't even say you need to have eye contact.
Do you have to trade words?
I think Dominate always needs
the description of the discipline.
Because it says by uttering phrase. Yes,
I would assume he needs to hear the phrase.
Okay.
It would have to be...
That's cool.
In terms of range, but I am pretty certain from all previous editions of Dominate, and certainly the way that I've been playing certain characters, you require eye contact.
Cool.
Okay.
I mean, otherwise that is just way overpowered.
Yeah,
You could eyeball someone across the room without looking at them and be like, "You are mine. Come to me."
No, that's fine. That's
unless you want to do it like what we do in the shadows. Come to me.
That'd be hilarious.
Notice me.
No,
so he slips inside.
Okay. It's a clear street, isn't it? There's no one around.
Not well, based upon the way he was going at that door, he hasn't noticed.
Okay, I'm gonna.
You were pretty fixated on him.
Yeah.
Hold up. Can we do something to wake people up in the house?
I'm gonna put Silence of Death on. I'm gonna go to the door as fast as I can.
Okay.
Because I'm worried. I've got this idea that there is a child up here. He's gonna kill them. So I think even Benjamin is gonna try and do something here.
To go.
Before you enact this moment of utter bravery, Moses, you are back at your house. You have gone pretty much straight there. Your haven. Either way, you've gone straight there. Underground?
Yeah, the haven I have underground, not the one on the.
How many havens do you have?
This haven, the one on the description of my character.
Oh, the one that we haven't actually seen use yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
To that one, because no one knows about that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have gone pretty much straight there, and it is only when you are there, nestled in, you have closed all the doors, you are sat rocking in the corner, that you hear a bzzzt. Is that you? On your pager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You have been making your way pretty much straight there. It has been frustrating. If you were still hungry, you pity these people that are on public transport with you. Because they are doing every little stereotype which winds people up. And I mean, even non-hungry, it is frustrating. Frustrating that every fucking stop there is someone that wants to get on or get off. Or that woman that has to count her fucking change before she hands it over, that just delays everything. You're well aware that you need to get... And there's once or twice you are very tempted to just leave and just fucking walk or run. Whatever it takes just to get there where your coterie is. But before too long, you manage to get off at your stop. That brings you closer to where your coterie is. And you turn the corner in enough time to see Katia there on her own between two vehicles. Katia. Before this happens, what were you doing?
I'm going after him.
Okay. So you just bolted straight across to...
Yeah, because my footfalls are silent, so I can run. I'm going to run to the door. Is it still able... Can I just push it open, or is it now locked again?
It's still locked.
Okay. I'm going to look for any other immediate way in to the house that is not... You know, are there any other open windows, or are there any other easy ways in?
You make a slow circle of the outside of the building.
I feel like him.
None of the windows are open. The only light that is on, that you can see, is from the window with the coloured wallpaper. The coloured curtains.
But the window's shut, isn't it?
Yeah. All the windows are shut.
Okay. Well, I don't... Well, I mean, Benjamin's opened doors before. So I'm going to try... I'm going to see if I can get my way in through the door, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, you know, have a fiddle. See if I can get in somehow.
Are you trying to lockpick it, or are you trying to force it?
I mean, I guess I could have a go at lockpicking if that,
Do you
doesn't
have
work.
lockpicks or similar on you?
No, I don't think I do. Not being like a master thief. So I guess...
force the door.
I'll have to force it, yeah.
Okay. We'll say strength plus athletics.
Okay.
It's going to be difficulty 2.
Okay, well, 4 successes.
Okay. You watch as you can hear rapid footsteps approaching. You can see Jim in the distance. He's nowhere near close enough to talk to you yet. But as you watch him, you suddenly glance back towards Benjamin as he takes a step back and full-on shoulder checks the door. You were expecting him to bounce off in that comedic bump way of Benjamin, but then all of a sudden he vanishes from sight as he forces his way in, and you hear nothing coming from there. And as you are watching this, Jim comes around the corner.
Jim, Chris is going up there. We reckon he's going to kill a child. We need to get up there quick.
As soon as he says child, I'm running.
I'm legging it as well.
As soon as he says, I'm bolting in.
I was only waiting for him to scope out the area, so hell yeah.
I'm bolting in, straight in.
The silent moment of mild triumph that you have is eclipsed as you hear the rapid footfalls of people racing across the street behind you. You don't turn and glance knowing that your coterie are coming, but you can hear nothing in the house.
Okay, well obviously I will have heightened senses up at this point. And I think what I'm going to do is do I obfuscate? That is the killer question. No, I'm not going to obfuscate. I'm going to rely on my heightened senses and my silence. I'm going to creep... yeah, I'm going to just... Cause I'm also listening out for the sound of, you know, a... Can I hear a child in the house? Like a child?
Have you got your heightened senses?
I do.
Okay. you can hear upstairs,
Ding, ding.
and then you hear what sounds like a toy phone buzzing, and then it goes dead.
Dramatically dead, or just?
It just stops.
Okay, I'm going to carry on upstairs then. In that case, if I think there is a living child upstairs that this monster might be about to go after, so yeah, I'll go up.
Okay. Are you going to go straight into the room where you believe the paper is, or are you going to try and slow enter it?
I'm going to take my time.
Okay.
I think.
Do you still have silence?
I do still have silence up.
Okay. You move up towards the door, and you begin slowly opening it. And what you can see inside is a child's lap, besides a bed, besides a impromptu children's tea set that is made up against the wall. You can see a number of toys. You can see a child's bed, which looks as though it was in a state that someone was in a sleep against it. And you can see, silhouetted against the window, Chris, with a child in his hands, and his hands over her mouth with a cloth, and she is unmoving.
I am gonna jump on Chris's back and...
He's facing towards the door.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's aware.
Yeah.
He's aware of me.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the child. He's
yeah. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Sure.
The moment that you open that door, his eyes go up towards you, and his hand goes towards something at his back. I will need from you. What is your Dex plus wits?
6.
Okay. You get to go first.
Yes. Okay, so I guess my questions are: do I have any? I don't know what he's reaching for, but he's reaching for something.
Yeah.
He's effectively smothering this girl.
Probably more likely chloroform as well.
But he's knocking her out, or he's doing something.
She's limp, but he's basically holding her up.
Okay.
She's not old, based on the look. You're guessing that she's between 5 and 10.
Okay. And is he like? Do I think he's reaching something weapon-like on his belt, or I have no idea.
It's hard to tell. There is at his feet the bag of jerry cans that you can now see based upon the fact that they are opened at his feet.
But he hasn't been pouring stuff. There's no smell.
Not that you can smell, unless you're going to stand there and take a deep whiff to try and.
No, I'm not stopping to check and sniff the jerry cans at this point.
Are you sure?
Yes. But what I think I am going to do is I am going to, because he's got like a girl in one arm and he's trying to reach a thing with the other.
Yeah, he's basically he was holding her up with one arm, with the hand pressed against her throat, and she was just limp, her eyes shut. She was breathing normally.
Yeah.
So he wasn't smothering her.
Oh, okay.
But the moment he sees you holding her up with that hand by her throat, he is reaching around for something. The moment that he sees you.
Okay. Well, I think what I am going to do is probably just throw myself across the room at him.
Okay.
Because
buy some time.
Because my coach are behind me, and he has a little girl, and he might be about to set himself on fire or pull out a gun. I just don't know. So, like the words of Plucky Jake echoing through my head. You got to be tough. And Jim saying you can't just be. I'm like.
Okay.
A little montage moment.
Given that you have the higher score and this class is as everything else, you rush towards him, and what yours is going to count as
approaching close combat. Yeah, close combat.
You rush towards him, and I'm assuming, are you still having silence of death?
I mean,
You haven't dropped it.
I haven't dropped it, but I don't really.
You
care.
rush towards him, and there is no sounds coming from upstairs that you two can hear. You've seen him go up the stairs, you've seen him turn a corner, but you hear nothing as he goes forwards.
Yep.
Yeah, no doors opening or anything.
I'm still following the trail.
And you rush forwards towards him as his hand starts coming around with what looks to be a lighter. And the moment that he brings it out, you are up on top of him. I will need you. What are you trying to do?
I think. I don't know if Benjamin is thinking, so I think at this point he's just going to bite him.
Original plan.
Yeah. I mean, it's a stupid idea because it puts me at negative dice, right? But I actually, or maybe just grab him, just stop him being able to use
the lighter.
Are you trying to grab him, or are you trying to get the girl away from him?
I'm a bit concerned about him setting everything on fire, including.
So you're trying to disarm him.
Bite his arm off.
I'm going to try and Actually, no. I'm going to get the girl. I'm going to get the girl off him.
Okay. Well, we'll class this as a grapple test that you're opposing with him.
Yes.
And if you succeed, you will free her.
Yes.
If you fail, then you're not going to free her.
I think so.
But you'll make him busy with the arm that has the
you'll
lighter.
slow him down.
Yeah.
So either he uses one arm for the grapple,
Yeah.
or he grapples but doesn't use the lighter.
This will be classed as a two-way.
Yeah.
Because he will, given that he is the grappler, not the grapplee, he can still retaliate as a result of you throwing yourself at him.
Okay.
Okay? So it will be two-way.
Okay.
Are you going all out, by the way?
When you say all out, what do you mean?
Afford the attacker a +1 damage bonus if you do hit, but you cannot defend against any attacks.
No, I'm not going all out.
No? Okay.
That doesn't sound very Benjamin. I mean, like, throwing himself forward is one thing,
Hang on.
but
Let me tally.
this is going to be awful.
That's right. We're coming. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Maybe
I could.
not,
I'm
actually. Not with
103. I'm
not with
thinking
her.
about it.
over here.
No, okay. So, here we go, folks. I might spend a point of willpower to re-roll that dice, just because you never know.
Make sure you mark.
Yes, I'm marking it. I'm marking it. That's three successes.
Come
Okay.
on, beefy.
All right. Because this is two-way,
I take 25.
you rush towards it. And your foot makes contact with a squeaky toy that, whilst it deflates from the pressure, it doesn't go off, or it does go off, and no one can hear it. And you propel yourself towards him. And his eyes go wide as he brings up the lighter, and he raises his hand to try and backhand you, and it makes contact with your jaw. But as his hand comes away, your own grabs hold of the other hand, and the girl slips free underneath. You will take 1 point of superficial.
Okay.
Halved and rounded up to 1.
Yeah.
But you do free the girl. And as you backpedal, the impact stinging as it swipes across your face. And those were meaty fucking hands. Those were hands that put next to your face would probably be about the size, if not larger than your face. But you managed to tumble backwards, and as you almost topple to the ground, the girl is clutched against you. She's very much limp. She is still breathing. But now, as he kind of releases her, he looks up towards you, glances past you, and immediately goes for the jerry can at his feet.
So that would be like the equivalent of a...
That's his few seconds.
For his action, because he was basically doing the two-way conflict, he's going to grab the jerry can, undo it, and he is going to throw it at you.
Okay. Do I get...
Dex plus athletics.
Yeah.
To get out of the way.
If you fail this, you will take no damage, but you are going to be covered
in,
as well as her, in petrol.
Which is not cool.
It's pretty hot, actually.
I'm going to spend another point of willpower if I can.
Okay.
Because, I really don't want to be covered in petrol. And I've got a little girl, and that just seems uncool. No, so just 2.
2 successes.
Okay. From you backpedaling and your foot making contact with more of those toys on the ground, it's hard for you to steady yourself. And as you look up towards him, you see his hand go wide, and for a moment, there's a part of you that instinctively grips inwards as you think that there is a lighter coming towards you. But then you see nothing other than the spiral and jerry can. It lands at your feet. But it takes you a moment with, not quite adrenaline, because you don't feel adrenaline anymore, but that rapid trying to place everything going on around you suddenly catches up to the fact that you are now exceptionally damp.
Okay.
And so is she.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a critical win.
Awful.
So you are now coated in petrol, and so is the room.
Okay.
Because that was a critical win.
Yeah.
You two bound
I've been
up the
following
stairs,
the trail. I
and the
know where
moment
I'm
you
going.
follow, you leading and Jim coming up. No, you left first. So Jim's directly ahead of you, even as you're following up the trail, and you both hit the landing at the same time. Turn the corner in time to see Benjamin falling back, holding what looks to be a limp girl, and a jerry can land next to the door. And across the shoulder, a individual almost twice Jim's size, with a lighter in hand, looking at you all underneath this hoodie and just staring, and then a coy smile comes across his lips.
Can we have action?
Plan, yep, that was your move going in. Now what is your action?
Okay, I just want to look at him and forget And if it's against a resisting victim, it's Charisma Dominate versus Wits Resolve.
Okay.
Come on.
I like it. You could rouse, maybe.
What does this cover if you succeed?
If I succeed, he forgets the current moment and the last few minutes, and hopefully is disorientated for like.
Yeah, I was going to say
time.
he
It's not going to like stop him in his tracks, but it might make him.
It might give long enough for someone.
Yeah, I'm just trying to buy time.
I'll tell you what. If this succeeds, he'll be disorientated enough to count as surprise attack. So the first attack against him will be at a difficulty 1.
I'm going to rouse.
if
I'm
he
going to
forgets-
rouse because this is all I'm trying to. This is my I
Okay.
guess desire tonight. So first rouse check. I don't get hungrier, so I get an extra
If he
dice.
forgets the last couple of minutes,
Four
he's
for
going to be
charisma.
walking around the street.
It's
and
worth
then
keeping
inside
in
a
mind. Sorry, do the rouse check after
Oh,
you gain the
yeah.
benefit.
Okay,
Because you don't want to be rolling more hunger die than you need to.
that's very true. Okay, 6 dice. Come on, babies. 1, 2, 3 successes, and I can't. There's nothing I can re-roll, so it's 3 successes.
The moment you turn the corner and you say forget, his eyes suddenly go glassy, and then he stops, blinks, and then looks around at him, and then down towards the lighter, and then up towards you. His expression immediately there's recognition immediately in his eyes, and there's an intensity behind there that you can only recognize as intense loathing. But he is entirely unaware of where he is. And that brief moment of hesitation is enough for Jim to...
I'm going to move in and try to remove the lighter from his hand.
Okay, so you're going to try and disarm him.
Or remove his hand.
Yeah.
No, go with your first intention. You're going to try and disarm him. All right, so we will say... Trying to figure out what the hell this would be under the new rules.
I think it would be
Strength and brawl.
I used the discipline.
I know, but I mean, like...
Oh, penalty. That
Yeah,
penalty.
I'll tell you what. We'll treat this as the other one until I can read these rules more. It'll be... It's going to be unopposed, so it's against difficulty 1. Obviously, if you succeed, you disarm him.
Yep.
Because your intention is to disarm him, not to cause damage. So this will disarm him if you get more than 1 success.
I mean,
Or 1 success or more. So if you, unless you completely box this
Strength
off.
brawl.
Strength plus brawl.
Come
Your
on,
base.
man.
I see a 9. I see 10.
That's a crit success.
A crit success.
Well, that is 8 successes.
adequate win.
I'm kind of hoping I can translate that into some damage.
Doing something good in the world, guys.
But it's going to be awesome. It's like...
I am really hoping I can translate that into some damage because that's a success on every dice, including a fucking...
Yeah.
Yes!
That's, if you're going to have a good
8.
roll at some point.
I mean, I can't not give that to you as damage.
Do a chewy.
I will give you a choice. You can either translate that into damage, keeping in mind you are only targeting his hand, or I will give him a penalty going forward using his hands.
The lighter isn't lit yet, is it?
No.
Okay, so it's like, cut his arm off. Oh shit.
There'd be a very dick move to reward an 8.
So, would either way mean the light is removed, or would it just...
Either way, the light is removed. With 8 successes, yeah, of course. The light is removed. Or I can remove the lighter from the scene entirely.
What's out the window?
You have 1 of 3. Either way, the lighter goes out of his hand, but on 2 of those, it's still in the room.
I'm going to remove the lighter entirely.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jim barrels past you as you stagger to catch the girl, and even though you can hear on the distance, Katia's warning or order of forget, and all of a sudden Chris going still, he catches sight of Jim barreling across the room, going over toys, and his hand coming wide and making contact with the side of Chris's hand, and in the recoil his hand goes backwards, goes out towards the window, and the sheer force of Jim barreling into Chris sends Chris spiraling backwards into the window, and it cracks as his hand hits it, and through the opening of the window the lighter goes and goes straight out of the shattered lower pane.
It's time.
The sudden burst of wind comes in from outside, carrying the stink of petrol about this room, and as his disorientation begins to ebb, his eyes suddenly turn on you, and his smile changes into a hate-filled grimace.
No thanks. My turn.
Don't kill him.
Okay, fresh round. Intentions.
I'm planning on beating the shit out of this motherfucker.
Yeah, I kind of want to go out with a knife as well.
You haven't. Oh, you haven't.
I'm really pissed off.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
But I also want to call out, don't kill him. We'll have more fun that way.
I'd plan on beating him to torpor.
That's exactly what we want to do. This evening couldn't go any better, except for, you know, the whole Moses thing. That was
Okay, what are you doing?
a shame.
Beating the shit out of him.
You going forward with the knife?
But I probably will go last out of everyone because my dex wits is the lowest.
Well, I've got. It seems a bit rude to not look after a small girl that's only 7 year old. So I
Get her
Especially one
Get her up.
coated in petrol.
yeah. So I think probably I'm gonna get kind of back to into the corridor, but I want to be able to see into the room, obviously, in case something disastrous happens.
Okay.
But my attention is not on them. My attention is on checking that she can breathe, that she is, you know,
Okay, first
all
aid.
that kind of stuff.
Cool. Right. So, Jim, what is your wits plus your dex plus wits?
5.
5.
5.
Okay, he goes first. Okay. He's going to bite you.
He's ain't got baby teeth.
My thing's
The
right.
moment that he makes contact with the window and the lighter goes flying, his fingers coil into fists. And although he sees all three of you, his attention now solely goes on you. The moment he recognizes you, his expression turns, and his hand comes out almost towards your throat, and his maw extends. And it's weird. I'm given the size of him, that his maw extends almost wider than it should. And the two fangs, although they're not full fangs that extend pretty much the majority of his mouth, like some kindred you've encountered, for example Alicia's, they are still enough to easily find purchase on you, and he lunges in towards you. I'm guessing you're going two-way?
I go 2-way.
Fuck him up.
Strength brawl.
Strength plus brawl.
Rousing? No.
Nope. 4.
4. Okay. As you come towards him, swinging your fist around towards his head, his other hand comes up and grabs you on the shoulder and pins your arm underneath his, and his jaw comes down and latches onto your throat, and you feel the pins go in and tear backwards as a chunk of your neck goes wide. 2 aggravated.
2 aggravated.
2 aggravated.
Yeah, it's
A
teeth
bite
for
only
you.
ever does 2 aggravated, regardless of what you roll.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Alright.
I mean, I can try and make him forget again.
There's no margin, no
I think I'm
margin
only allowed
of
to do that once.
successes.
Yeah,
No, not with
it's
bites.
worth noting that your
No, it's just 2.
the thing you've set up for the toy phone would have gone off and then gone off dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I'm doing that.
Yeah. So the moment that he comes away, you guys watch as a chunk of Jim's neck comes through.
Yay.
You would expect arterial spray, but nothing comes.
It's like
Although you can tell from
Swinge.
Jim's reaction and the involuntary shout and yelp, almost like a wounded animal, albeit an angry one, that escapes through his throat. And as Chris comes wide with the bits of flesh still hanging between his fangs, he drops it and then tries to go in for another one. That will be on his next turn, however. Jim, you are next for melee.
Well,
Your intention was to fight him?
as he's just got me, I'm going to do the rouse check to bring up my feral weapons because
Okay.
shit's going down now. That's a success.
Okay.
The hunger list.
Hungerless. I tell you what, it's such a joy not having
I'll rouse that extra dice.
Oh my
you're
gosh.
such a lucky rouser.
willpower.
Yeah, I'll willpower some of those.
I see 2 successes.
How many can you roll? 3, right?
4.
Okay. He comes in, swinging towards you again as you start. Your claws extend by your side, and you drive it up towards him. Both of you got 4. So he succeeds with 1. You succeed with 1 plus your weapon damage.
Plus 2, which cannot.
Yeah, so
He wouldn't
3,
halve it anyway.
which he won't.
3 that cannot be divided by half.
So the blow that he takes into your side, you all hear the audible crack, and you see the shift in Jim's weight as his ribs are broken inwards. You take 1 superficial, halved, put up. He, however, takes 3 aggravated.
Nice.
3 aggravated, he's thin blood. He suffers like a mortal does. As you watch his claws bury themselves up into his torso, and as his expression turns from venomous hate to... and you see a trickle of blood begin coming out of the side of his mouth. The force with which Jim shoves it up there, he almost comes up onto his tiptoes and almost tumbles forward onto Jim. But it's only from him holding one of your arms underneath his own and his hand making contact with the side of your rib that he steadies himself. Despite the sheer pain going on, he is not dropped. Katia.
I'm gonna throw my knife.
Okay. He will get cover because Jim is directly in front of him.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay, I didn't realise that it was completely blocking.
He's not completely blocking. You can hit him.
Can I move and then throw the knife?
Yeah, I mean, but he is like engaged with Jim. Jim is like right there. He's got Jim's arm pinned underneath his arm,
and they're moving. So
okay,
we are talking people that are like within this distance.
So it's no like I can't get around the. I guess his back's to the window,
right up against the window.
Okay.
I mean, you can move in and try and stab him. I mean, he's already
it's just
dodged.
that I'm better at throwing, so.
It's worth noting that he has already tried to move. He has already tried to dodge from Jim, so his next attempt to dodge you would be at 1 less.
But it might not be an attempt to dodge, it might just be an attempt to beat me up.
It's still 1 less.
Yeah, but it's still an attempt to beat me up. If I'm throwing it, he can't do that.
You could potentially take... I don't know if you'd be able to do this, but you could maybe try and take like a manoeuvre this round so you could have more chance of hitting him next round.
Yeah, I mean, you can do a manoeuvre so that you'll position yourself, and depending on what successes you get in finding this position, you'll get a 1 to 3 die bonus on the attempts you do make.
Okay. Alright, yeah, I'll do that. I'm going to, I guess, skedaddle around the sides of the room and try and position myself, like lining up a shot almost.
Okay.
Because I'm not keen to get in melee range of
Yeah,
this
okay.
dude.
We'll say,
Reasonable.
without checking, we'll say...
Intelligence?
Yeah, we'll
I'm
say...
working out the angle, okay?
We'll say... Alright, we'll say intelligence plus...
Athletics?
Such a good
Huh?
flag.
Athletics?
No, it'll be awareness.
Oh, wait, that's the same as
It's
fine.
general awareness. I mean,
Nice try. Commendable
Okay.
effort.
1, 2 successes.
So,
Okay.
like,
So you will-
everybody rolls
I might
dice
roll.
and
I might
make
spend another point of willpower to reroll
Crikey.
2 of those
Okay.
dice. I want to give myself. You know, we got to do this. This is like the big thing we've got to do tonight. Okay. 1 more success, so 3 successes.
nope. So you get 2 additional die on your attack.
Right.
Because as he's wrestling with Jim, and you can see, and you can certainly smell, all of you can certainly smell, the stink of blood, because he's bleeding. Unlike you guys, when you take your injury, and certainly from Jim with the chunk of his neck missing, he is bleeding. And even as he begins struggling and doesn't release Jim from this commendable effort, despite the fact he has 5 claws embedded in his gut, you move around to the side, climb up onto this girl's bed, and position yourself just so that the side that has Jim pinned, that he can't really move without releasing Jim, is enough where you could getting a sight towards his neck if you were to throw the blade. Do that on your turn.
Yep.
You begin backpedaling out of the room, making distance between you, the fighters, and more importantly, the petrol on the floor.
Yeah.
You're still coated.
Yeah.
And you are acutely aware of just everything going on. The sounds of the house, old as it is, there's the occasional creak of the floorboard from down below, that even over the din of the fight going on in front of you, the gas, the shout, the pain, there's moments where there's a part of you that goes, that might be someone's footsteps, there might be someone coming. This is quite clear. She can't certainly be here on her own.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, what, 7, 8,
Yeah.
9? I mean, it's hard to gauge in the brief glimpse
No,
you've had.
but I'm expecting there to be someone else.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
house.
What are you doing? Are you just moving out?
No, my first thing is to check that she can breathe okay.
Okay.
That she's not.
We'll say intelligence plus medicine. If you have medicine.
I might have a dot in it. I don't have medicine. Biology. No.
I'll say yes, but it'll be a higher difficulty.
Okay. But yeah, because I don't have.
Is that science, biology?
Huh? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say one higher difficulty.
Okay.
But you can attempt it.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
4. She is breathing fine, but she is out of it. It's quite clear from her reaction, the fact that, I mean, she is unconscious, but there is no damage to a windpipe. There is no.
Good. That's the thing I just wanted
There is
to
no,
check,
you know, there's no markings on her. Certainly from someone that size that would, and given how young she is, there is no signs that he subdued her by force. It's quite clear that whatever he was holding when it was there, it was chloroform or a similar substance which knocked her out. She is otherwise fine. She is in no immediate danger that you are aware of.
Cool.
So, new round. Everyone's intentions.
Continue beating the shit out of this guy.
Okay.
Now I've got my angle. I'm going to throw the knife.
Okay. Let me know, by the way, at this point, guys, if there's any intention for like disciplines and the rest of it. I mean, you can retroactively use some of them, but I mean, if it's, for example, like going at them with feral claws or, you know, using dominate, it's what I mean. I'm going purely off of my old knowledge of V20, where you normally had to declare them up front. So,
I guess I will be checking at this point, like as in if it does sound like someone's coming up the stairs or someone's calling the police or something like that, I'll be checking out for that next.
Okay. His intention is to pull you and him out the window.
I mean, that's kind of cool though.
That is right.
Okay. He will go first.
He's a big boy.
He is a big boy.
Okay. This is going to be. I mean, I suppose I can class this as
a grapple.
Well, technically, yes. And if he succeeds, however, he's not going to pin you. He's going to pull you out with him. Is you're going to be a two-way?
I can make it two-way.
If he meets your difficulty, you will still do damage to him, but he will pull you out with him.
Right.
If you dodge or defend, then you won't deal damage on a tie, but also he won't get you out the window.
I'll continue battling him. Yeah. Would this be a grapple thing for me as well, or just straight brawl?
No, because he's not grappling you yet. Well,
he's trying to grapple him out the window.
Yeah, okay.
Hold on to him. Grapple, grapple, grapple.
I'm gonna willpower.
We're all spending our willpower tonight.
Tell you what,
he is doing the same.
Oh!
NPCs aren't allowed to do that.
Yes, you can. Oh, fuck.
Uh-oh, he's got like a crit or something.
5.
Okay. 5.
5.
Okay. As he grabs hold of you, I mean, he's already got you underneath the arm, but his other hand comes towards the bit of your neck which is exposed, and his fingers dig into the hole, and he uses it to pull you towards him, even as your fist drives further and further up into his gut. You deal 1 superficial point of damage to him.
Is that enhanced?
It'll still be superficial, because technically you're just reactively defending. So technically, it should still be superficial.
Superficial, but fingers with the claws, because they had 2.
Yes. So we will class that as another. So yeah, it'll be 1 plus the 2, so he takes another 3 aggravated. As your claw is driven even further, and you watch from where you're positioned, his palm disappears into gut.
Fist him good. What?
I don't know. I'm too innocent to understand these things.
You've gone bright red.
I was already red.
Oh, wow.
I'm so sick.
Oh, we love you.
Yes.
Amazing.
And as his hand vanishes up into his gut, and his claws embed in yours, it's quite clear from the amount of blood that is currently pouring out of his mouth that he is quite badly injured. But as he grabs you, he tightens his grip on you, and he throws himself back against the shattered window, and you both go toppling out.
wasted my turn.
Well, I don't know. Do you get a chance to?
I need. No, they achieve it first. You need to roll. We'll say stamina plus athletics.
Does your feather?
No.
Wait for the feather.
You can't activate
Do you want to activate it?
I
It
believe
drops your strength, doesn't it?
It would drop my strength. Yeah. So I will not activate that.
Try and fall on top of
you will
him.
receive less
You're only
damage.
one story up.
Well, except that he's.
No,
connected to
I'm
Chris, isn't he?
I'm
So
locked in
not
combat.
as simple as that.
It'll just be a ragdoll.
I'm gonna be trying to go on top. So stamina plus athletics.
It's easy business.
You can't have much more power
I was
left,
going to
mate.
say, you want say
Man, I should just use dominate on you
want
now.
Foggy
That'd
to
be
be
brilliant.
there? You do? Covered in petrol?
No, he would not be inside.
No, he's
the
not
room.
there. He would have been with you. Or he would be around your old haven. Unless you specifically mention he's with you, I'm
No,
going to
it's
assume
okay.
he's
Don't
somewhere
worry. Read the back of the thingy. The last part.
I'll spend it.
oh
Just
my
hope you don't
God.
frenzy again.
Like the last line on one
Don't
of the
frenzy,
sides.
for goodness sake.
else. You roll?
He's spent another willpower point.
So I have 4 successes.
4. Okay. You land with such an impact that your claws come free, and you land beside him quite solidly on your side. But it is him that took the brunt of this fall. And as he lands and he gets hitting the ground quite solidly, showered with glass, you roll off onto the side. So you take no damage. He, however, does take 1 superficial.
And
Katia,
I'm laying.
I'm allowing your intention to change because obviously circumstances have changed. I don't know if this is official rules. I will double check.
Now you can do your.
You've seen them tumble out the window. Yeah, now you can jump from the heights.
Yeah.
I'm actually tempted.
Death from above.
Okay, I want for start. I dash the window, look down. I see this.
Yeah. Okay, oblivious. Yeah. Okay.
I guess I throw it from here. I just don't get the 2.
Jim's no longer on top of him, so he won't gain cover from it.
So it'll just be.
He is also prone on the ground, so it will be difficulty 1.
Oh man! Although I really did want to do the other thing.
Death from above.
Throw the knife.
I mean, can I just
Death from
like
above.
what would it mean mechanically if I did jump on top of him?
You would risk taking fall damage, but I would probably allow you to keep your maneuver dice on doing so.
Fuck it, let's do it.
So do I still get?
I'm so mad. Okay, this guy tried to kill my
Do I still
best
get my?
friend.
I mean, I
attachment to-
guess so.
My best friend and maybe more.
You
Yeah.
will before Katia. So before you resolve this,
Yeah.
just to find out what your intention
Crazy
is.
man.
Don't cover him up.
You're telling me?
You, because you are still engaged with him as you fall, will not get against difficulty 1. He will still get a chance to react to it. This is prior to him hitting the ground, him rolling off, and you witnessing.
Oh, hang on. So
Because your attacks happen simultaneously as you go out the window.
Yep. So I'll be.
Okay, so this is like rewinding.
Yeah, I
a
was
little
just
bit.
finding out what your intention was before we raced on.
Making a
Don't worry.
terrible mistake.
His is 2-way.
Where's your luck gone, mate?
Final point of willpower.
If anyone wants to manipulate him, do it now.
That's 4 points spent. So
At least he's not hungry, okay?
Yeah.
that was it. Was a success previously, but not that. So 4 successes.
I mean, at least you didn't take as
Double
much.
10s,
damage.
boys. Double 10s. And lady.
Mm.
So as you land and your claws dislodge, you are rolled off of him not by the sheer momentum, not necessarily just by the sheer momentum, but by the fact that his fist comes around and drives with a knuckle straight into the point where the flesh had been bitten away. And it is enough where anybody else, you know, this probably would have taken them straight out of it by shock. With you, all it is your collarbone is shattered as he makes contact with it. So that will be...
One thin blood, guys.
How many did you get? 5?
I got 4.
This is a very large thing.
I got 4. You
He's
said
so
5. So.
Okay, so it will be 1 rounded up to 1 superficial.
Yep. I'm running a health track.
Oh, don't worry, he's not far behind. Katia, you are lunging out the window.
Yes.
Please get a messy
should be
critical
impaired
because
by
this is
now.
going to make your next roll very interesting.
Come on,
Basically, okay. I get the 2. I get the +2.
Because you don't want to.
Because you're attacking from higher
Funny
ground,
thing,
technically.
You're going down the stairs
Oh,
with this unconscious little
In
girl.
terms of what I know about thin
See
bloods,
through
like
the window.
when do they go into torpor the way other kindred do, or can you just stab them until they die?
Roll intelligence plus
Does this take up my turn, or is it just like something I would have been thinking already? Because I probably have considered
No, I'd say
this.
you probably have considered this.
Okay.
It'll be intelligence
a
plus a cult.
Yes! I've been
It's all
waiting for this
coming up
roll
for me
all
tonight.
night.
I don't know. Some of her rolls have been quite questionable.
Yes.
1, 2 successes.
2.
Yeah.
You know they do go into torpor,
Okay.
but you also know that they take damage similar to how the kind do.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, this is me. I'm not expecting to deal massive damage. I just want to deal some damage, and I'm really pissed off.
You, Ben, as you're glancing through the window, witness them topple out topple out, and as your initial kind of oh shit hits you from 1, they've just taken a topple out of a window. 2, you know, the guy was pounding on Jim before he went out the window. 3, you're in a residential area.
Yeah.
And then 4, Katia bounding off the bed towards the window, mounting this glass shard filled box and just throwing herself out of it with a knife in a very un-Katia like almost 300
This has been building up for a while.
Make your attack roll. This will be against difficulty 1.
And this has been building up for a while for her. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
So that's 3.
She lunges out of the window, Jim. You watch as the silhouette of Katia coming down towards Chris grows larger and larger, and as you roll and try and find your feet, Chris, who's halfway through, rolling forwards to try and pick himself up, his hood falls backwards as Katia lands atop him, and her knife burrows into the side of his skull.
Oh!
And his eyes suddenly go blank, and then he just stops moving.
Headshot.
He is in torpor.
Oh.
I need you to roll stamina plus athletics.
Oh yeah. Your damage.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry, I haven't forgotten. Actually, we'll say Dex plus.
It's the
athletics.
same.
Yeah. I mean, you were grabbed
same
and
too,
thrown out with him. She went of her own accord.
I mean, Katia's been internalizing a lot of very negative energy for a while towards this guy. He did basic. I mean, I think we've all guessed by now. Her touchstone was almost murdered, so this is a big deal. That's 1, 2, 3 successes.
Okay. The mounting of muscle underneath you cushioned most of the fall. I mean, you're pretty certain that you probably sprained your ankle. It's not a big issue for a kindred, but as you pull against the knife, it is stuck fast.
I guess it stays.
And you release the knife, and he just goes limp. Not moving. For all intents and purposes, it looks like a very dead body in front of you. And Jim next to you with a chunk missing from his neck. You can hear movements from up above, and you can also hear from further down the road the sound of a motor approaching.
Gotta drag the body away.
I'm dragging the body away. As I'm doing so, I'm going to make a Rowell's check to try and heal some superficial.
I guess
Okay,
you can,
are you
can't
doing that first?
Yeah, that's a failure.
You can do it, I think, as he.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you do. Okay.
You can do it as part
Yeah,
of
you
the
can do it
turn.
as part of your
Yeah,
turn. Yeah.
so that's a failure and a failure, so I.
Oh.
Hunger 0 didn't
No,
last
the reason
long.
I was asking is because he'd get impairment.
Oh, I
Or
see.
physical
Yeah,
before he started.
I still have 2 empty boxes.
Oh, okay.
He's got so much health.
So did fucking Chris. That'll be strength plus athletics because you are hauling the body out of sight before.
Can we do it together?
Yeah, you gain teamworks. Teamworks?
So-
Teamwork.
I've got.
So biggest pool gets an extra dice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
I've got-
you get an extra dice from me. Although I should just not let you roll, really. That's just nothing from 7 die.
Nothing.
Huh?
Nothing.
Nothing.
What were you trying to do?
Where's your willpower?
No bad
Rerolls
juju,
and
just
dice.
nothing.
What were you trying to do?
Just drag his body into the shadows.
No, just try and drag his body away.
Yeah, but what? No successes at all.
No successes, but like there's
So
no.
a total
there's no,
failure.
No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I guess a total failure, but
I guess
no
when you
critics.
put it like that,
Yeah.
If there's no successes rolled, it's a total failure.
Yeah, but there are no.
Doesn't
but
matter.
It's still
Yeah,
a
it's
total
still a
No
failure.
successes. You begin yanking him across this ground. This now bloody floor. This grassy bloody floor. Just in time for a motor to turn the corner and its lights suddenly pick you up. And the moment that you are both there caught in these lights, the lights dim. And you recognise this as Moses' bike. As the illumination drops, you can see lights flickering on the other side of the street.
Moses' bike, is it his helmet? Okay, at this point, we haven't got time. I'm gonna dash up. Moses.
I just run towards.
She's alright. Whoever, it's okay. We've dealt with the situation. We need to move this guy.
Okay.
Still trying to drag away.
He's lost it. He can't do anything right now. We've got to drag his body.
I go inside.
Okay. Blanking you, he goes straight past, and at the base of the stairs,
I would think probably.
you can see a very damp Benjamin carrying a very damp and very unconscious Lucy.
I get her off of her hands. Lucy, are you okay? Are you okay, girl? And
She's been rendered unconscious. With
As you're
chloroform.
speaking, you can pick up the very strong smell of petrol.
I just blink a couple of times. Like now, I lifted the visor and I blink a couple of times, and I try to remember what day's today. What's Susan's calendar? Is she tonight in night school or is she in her room late?
She's not here.
She's not here today.
No.
It's like okay, it's okay. She's safe.
It was chloroform, but she's fine. Honestly, she's fine.
Why? What? What is this petrol? What is this?
It was Chris. He was trying to set the room on fire. He was trying to set everything on fire.
Okay.
Katia,
Take
you're
care
watching
of
the
her.
windows. You can see the curtains moving, and you can see someone sat there with what looks like a landline speaking into it as they're observing the house.
Okay, I've already got my scarf up. We need to move.
I just run towards Jim and help him out with the. No. I just run towards him. I grab him and go. This guy's too heavy. We're not moving him.
We need him.
We need him.
We
It's
need him.
imperative.
What do you mean we need him?
It was the price for us
Still
getting
dragging.
help to find him. Without them, that girl would be dead. We need his body.
We need a car now.
Curtains
Can you
move again.
hotwire a car?
You can
know
hear
what?
a door opening a house over, and light coming from someone's entrance as they've basically stepped out of their house.
Go deal with that.
Okay, guys,
You talk.
just-
Deal with it.
Okay.
It's like across
Fuck
the
me.
street. They're not like immediately there, but it's quite clear. people are paying
I
attention.
grab Katia by the hand. You talk to that person and distract them.
I'm going to cross the street.
Freaking risk it, and I obfuscate and go inside.
You've got have you got Lucy?
No,
I've got Lucy.
Okay.
And I do not go hungry.
Okay.
Because it's Ninja Moses time, apparently, because I'm gonna go inside and steal some car keys. While I am going...
What? Sarah's car? Sarah? No.
No, I'm not Susan, because if she has car... Like, if the car's not here, she's not here.
Yeah.
So, period. Neighbors. So I grabbed her by the hand, take her to a
Distract
neighbor's
the
house,
neighbor and go in.
distract the neighbor
Yeah.
while I go in.
Okay, I will dash over to the neighbour then.
The moment you approach, you see that he's got what looks to be a golf club. And seeing that you're coming from the house, he shifts the weight, and his partner behind him is on the phone.
Isn't this alright?
Can I whisper, because if she's stopping because of the golf club, I'm just gonna whisper two things, like a short thing to her.
I'll let you say one thing. Because you've obfuscated as this guy stepped out of the house. Well, after the guy stepped out of the house, out of view of him, you're moving past Katia as she is the core attention of this guy.
Okay, burr.
What?
Burr. And I go like, burr. And I move around.
Okay. Please, hold on. Just come from that house. There was a man, he tried to break it and he tried to... Oh, God. Oh, my God. Unconsciously, I look terrified. He must have known she wasn't home. He came from, I was babysitting the little girl.
Question.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've done prior to engaging this individual?
Like, I was trying to come for help. That's what I'm trying to make it look like.
Anything else?
I mean, yes, I know what you're saying, but I don't think I can retroactively do that. Can I? Or could I do that as I was running up?
This one occasion I'll allow you to.
Alright, I assume you wouldn't let me already, but okay.
Well, after book 1 I'm going to be a lot less lenient on this, but we are still learning. And I am benevolent.
Oh,
I am! Don't laugh!
Okay, I'm hungry. I've gone up to...
Hunger 4.
However,
You are brightly illuminated by the backlight of this guy's
Yeah.
house.
I know.
The moment that he sees you, his grip on the club changes as he holds it. He's seen you come from the house, and the woman behind him, who's still on the phone, stops speaking and just observes.
Please help.
I need manipulation plus performance from you.
Why those two?
Wouldn't it be subterfuge?
Nope, because she's putting on an act.
Putting on an act. Yeah, of course, makes sense.
Technically, she's not lying. She's putting on an act.
She has just come from the house.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of
And the
lying.
guy did try and break in.
Yeah.
I am lying though.
It's still a performance. I mean, there's telling a lie, and then there is
Performing, yeah.
performing for it.
Okay. 3 successes.
Nice.
The moment that he says this, he goes, get in, and then moves past you with his club towards the house.
At this point, I don't really want to go in that house.
I'm looking like I'm literally in a fraction of a second casing the house, looking for the best way to break in and going for it. Like if him and his partner are there, then this door or that window or that floor or me jumping or whatever. Like in that split second where she's
from
distracted.
inside the house?
No, I'm outside their house.
Okay.
I want to get inside their house.
Okay. They've got a window right next to the front door. They've got a window one over from the next room.
Jump and break in.
Okay. This is on the ground floor. You don't need to jump.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
But
That's what I do.
if you are engaging them with the window, it will break obfuscate because you are breaking the window.
Isn't the front door wide open?
Yeah, you can walk in that way if you want to.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying. I mean,
thought the guy
the immediate entrance way.
Okay, I just literally walk past the guy.
But I mean, obfuscated. You can't just go around just smashing windows and expecting people to see it.
I was going to try to open.
Oh yeah,
or
but
whatever,
breaking in is breaking.
I just
So
walk
you
past the
slip past him the moment that he gestures for Katia to go inside, and he moves past.
And any cars that I could have seen in the.
In there, yeah, they've got a family vehicle.
Okay, just check the brand, like the brand or whatever, like the make. So I know what type of keys I'm
Honda
looking
Civic,
for.
Yeah,
probably,
so
right?
sometimes the keys have the logo.
Yeah.
It's more because I know fuck all about car. I wouldn't know any makes apart
Brand,
from.
mark, make. How do you say it here? Make and model.
Brand.
Make model, yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
It looks like an SUV. We'll go with that.
Cool, that one. Whatever brand it is or make, I go inside because I'm gonna start looking for that.
Okay, we'll say Dex plus
Larceny.
Larceny.
Would it be Dex? Because I'm trying to look for this as fast as possible.
Wits.
Like literally.
I know what you're saying.
We need a car.
I mean, you're kind of thinking, where's the most likely place for someone?
Yeah, that's like where are either the keychains
All
or
right, intelligence plus
intelligence. Okay.
because it is reasoning. You are working on reasoning in a house you have never been in. Where are they likely to store them?
Okay. Oh, but yeah. Wait.
Question quickly.
Everything else.
What did you roll on moving the body on your own?
I had nothing.
Okay.
Still trying to move it,
I will allow you one more roll.
I have
before
3
you
successes.
3. Okay, it doesn't take you long to go down this corridor, and as you are backtracking, and it occurs to you, you can't see them, you can see behind where the door is opened and where this woman is stood, there is keys on a hook. There's a cluster of keys, but there is one with an identifiable car manufacturer thing. And I'm assuming you're going to take it as you go past. You wait until she steps forward to try and usher Katia in the house. The brief moment where she takes her attention away from the phone, moves forward to try and coax Katia in, that she has her back to these keys, and you just take the key. Are you staying in, or are you going out?
No, I am. I'm leaving. Like that's why I wanted to do it fast. I wanted to leave before they close the door back.
Yeah.
Are you going in?
I'm very hysterical. I look messed up. I look absolutely terrified.
Okay. She rushes forward to try and
This is awful.
you,
I just want to forget.
You don't need to make a check, I believe.
No, because she's not prepared.
Okay, so you say this to her.
To her, because she's the one who's been on the phone.
In the moment that you say this, as she's coming forward and about to say something to try and coax you in that muttering kind of, no, it's okay, just come in, and she stops, and then the phone just.
And then I want to.
And then she is kind of looking out at you, clearly confused, watching her husband go across the pavement with a golf club, while she is in her nightwear, whilst you are standing there in front of her, covered in blood.
At this point, I leg it hide. Because
I mean, she's looking at all this. She's not immediately going, "Huh, shit." She's kind of going.
Yeah, I want to get out of her line of sight before she realises what's going on, so she doesn't associate me with what's going on.
So where are you bolting?
Are
you?
I'm not running towards the car that's being stolen.
I'm not running.
I'm just gonna run down the street.
I have to take the body.
Yeah, we have to get the body, but like I'm not gonna run back to the body after this.
Well, before all of this, Jim has one more roll to make without teamwork. Before this guy turns the corner and sees you there with the body.
Strength athletics.
Come on, Jim.
3 successes.
Okay. He rushes around the corner, not full on pelting, but he has got a quick gait, and the way that he's moving, there's a confidence about this individual which is. I mean, it's respectful, given that you've just told him that someone's broken into the house and that you were approaching covered in blood. He is going at this.
Yep.
Fairly composed, fairly determined. And then he stops and he turns the corner and you're looking back towards him and he just steps over and you can hear the crunch of grass and glass.
Yep.
And then as he turns back around the corner, wiping his foot off on the grass, he looks back over his shoulder and then goes, "He's gone."
Forget.
Okay.
Poor
I mean, it's not been used, so you got to catch up.
I haven't used any disciplines till this damn
It's
second.
like the Men in Black thingy.
Yeah.
And he's,
I love it.
At some point, you're gonna go like, "Stop it! You're gonna fry their brains."
And then you're bolting, yeah?
Then I'm bolting.
Okay. He just lowers his golf club and then just stops and blinks and then like glances down at himself and what he's wearing and where he is, and then over towards his partner who's giving him the same kind of glassy-eyed stare, and that is the last you see of them as you are turning the corner. Where are you? Where is the rest of them? You've gone.
I was going to Jim's direction because I'm gonna help him move the body.
Where would you
towards the car?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I was in the house with her, and he told me to look after her with my life.
So you're still in there.
So there's no one else in the house as far as I know, is there? So I think the thing I'm a bit aware of is that there's a little girl covered in gasoline, and that can't be good. And I'm covered in gasoline. So, I mean, I think what I'm going to do is risk, if there's no one around, going back to the room, her room, just to get some spare clothes for her, because assumably she's got a wardrobe or something. And then I'm going to probably slip out the back exit.
Okay. And the amount of time that all this has gone on, you would have been able to go up. And she's got a wardrobe full of clothes.
Yeah.
And you managed to grab.
I just grabbed something.
Benjamin approved attire.
Yeah, exactly. And if she's got something that's warm, like a dressing gown or something.
Yeah. I mean, there's a multitude.
Or a blanket, anything like that.
I mean, you've managed to find a dressing gown on the back of her door.
Yeah.
And you quickly go back downstairs, and through the opening of the door, although it's not fully ajar, you can hear someone call. "He's not here." or they're not here, or something to that effect. But then you begin backpedaling towards what you're guessing is likely to be the exit through the kitchen.
Yeah.
And unlock it, open the door, and step back out. And you can see at the back entrance Jim around the corner with the body of Chris Young, and with Moses on the other side of the door.
That nice body full of blood, you say? Lovely.
Just try to
Note that for later.
picture in the car.
Oh, great. Switcheroo. I take Lucy, and I go inside with the clothes and whatever he got.
So you're taking Lucy off me?
Yeah. Help Jim.
Right.
Put him on this card. The card
yes.
is on the next.
I'm gonna grab the keys from him and I'm fucking driving this time.
You're driving, are you?
I'm fucking driving this time.
Fine, yes.
And I'll see you later.
What?
I've
And I
chuck him in.
go with.
Yeah, I
just-
guess
you know,
I will be in the
go inside
car.
with Lucy.
Okay, everybody, I need Dex plus stealth.
turning my coat inside out. It's not very good. Oh, 2 successes. Small number.
7.
Well, now you get a 7.
Now I get a fucking 7 with a critical fucking win.
The jingling of keys is muted the moment that you hand them over, and
I'm
Jim
not
just
near you guys, so.
moving off. And even though you can still hear the footfalls around the one side of the house of this individual, this neighbour that's taken an interest, you all slip around the alternate side of the house. You taking their car? There was an exchange of keys, I'm guessing.
I think it's the only car we have
yeah.
is the SUV, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is difficult to get over there and take their SUV when she is out front. But it's only when he starts shaking his head, kind of confused, moving back towards the door. They begin having an exchange in the doorway. The door's still open, and they're trying to figure out what the fuck. You know, what? And then it's only when he's glancing back towards the house, where he was stood, and pointing towards it, that you guys stop on the other side of the SUV, having moved up towards it. And it's only then when they start exchanging more heated words, clearly frustrated at one another for whatever the fuck's just gone on. And he ushers her back into the house, saying one last word, and then slamming the door behind them. It's only in that moment of the door slamming that you guys unlock the SUV, clamber into it with Lucy and the...
No, I stay with Lucy.
Oh, you're staying with Lucy. Okay.
I'm not taking her.
As I've kind of gone off up the street, just because it would look a bit suspicious otherwise, turn my coat inside out, try and hide the blood. It's a black coat anyway, so. And text. End of the road.
Who are you texting?
Probably both of you, to be honest. CC.
Oh, end of the road.
Mobile phone bill is going to be massive for all of you guys. Okay, so you've texted. You two are at the SUV then?
Yeah,
getting... Moses, where did you head with Lucy?
Back to her house.
Back into the house?
Yeah, I'm gonna change her clothes. I'm gonna grab her little suitcase, the one she had for the first time she moved.
Okay, he did have a change of clothes on him when he came back out. Lucy.
Yeah, for her. When you took her, you would have had a change of clothes and a blanket for her thing.
Brilliant. I just grab some of her stuff, then I leave Lucy with Benjamin because he's gonna be in the SUV.
Are we kidnappers now?
Hang on a minute. What? So you're taking Lucy and you're going off into the house. We're going to the SUV. And
yeah, the SUV isn't near the house. It's near the neighbour's house.
Oh, no. I'm staying with Lucy in her house.
Okay.
I'm just gonna change her clothes. Police is gonna come.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. It's not the first time police comes to Lucy's house.
Oh.
It's the first time it's not because of me.
Inspiring confidence.
I was going to say, I'm glad that we don't know that.
Okay, so with Chris Young's body in the back, you pull out the driveway and take off up the road. You pause only so long to allow Katia to climb inside.
Jump right in. And as soon as I'm in, I'm texting Sabine. We have the body. Please identify a pickup point. Because obviously I'm not going to expect Sabine to for me to drive a corpse right up to the chantry. That seems very obvious, and besides, they don't want other clans necessarily to know exactly where the entrances to the chantry are. It just seems like a common thing that it would be a pickup or a drop off, like a swapsy point.
I mean, it's arguably one of the best kept secrets.
Exactly. So I'm not going to say drive to this location.
Can I just say that if Jim is not driving very carefully and observing all the proper rules, I'm going to be like that really annoying driver that's like, oh, slow down a bit. Oh.
I mean, imagining Jim, he probably is.
I'm just sitting on the body.
Following all the rules.
Well, I don't know.
I think your surprise, as I have 2 points in drive, is a very adept driver.
No, not so much how awesome you are, it's whether you're driving sensibly.
It means that you're a good stunt
sensibly
driver.
in a stolen car.
Sensibly stolen car, just trying to...
Okay.
Jim, I'll know a location very soon. I'm going to get out all the information we can out of this guy.
Do you think that we should change vehicle? Or...
Yes, as soon as we've done the drop-off. You can abandon the vehicle for all I care.
Alright.
Should probably burn it.
Yes, you can burn it.
I'm going to sink low in my seat.
Should burn it
and feel very much like a criminal.
Just keep driving until we know where we've got to go.
It's a horrible realisation. I am a criminal. I'm going to be saying that, I think. Oh, I'm a criminal. I'm an actual criminal. Why didn't I think of this before?
Yeah. So just keep it up.
I might be able to. Once this is over, I will help you how I can. All right?
How did you do that?
Do what?
You made him pause. How did you do that?
I mean, it's not that it's a.
How did you do that?
It's like a manipulation of the truth.
I temporarily made him forget the last few minutes, so he was stunned for a second. It's one of the things I can do.
Fuck, that'd be useful if I could do that.
Yes, it's mostly useful for clearing up messes, and I might have overstretched it a little bit tonight, but we have the body. And we saved a little girl's life. And that might be the first good thing we've done in weeks.
Yes. Yes, I think it's a good thing that we were there.
Yeah. If he had hurt her, he would not be in torpor.
Oh, well, trust me, he probably won't be in torpor.
But that's the thing. I mean, the important thing was that we didn't. But she was important to Moses.
You're right. Tiny fucking pieces
how did he?
From me.
We didn't even tell him where we were.
And he knew her name. And that's why Chris went after her. It was to hurt Moses. In the same way that he's tried to hurt all of us. You see?
Wow, right. Well, I'm just pleased that we succeeded this time. And I'm anxiously checking my phone.
Call Susan. Immediately. Like, the moment they leave, I go inside the house, and while I change Lucy, and I, like, basically I am trying to get all of this petrol off of Lucy while I dress her.
Take another point in melee for that.
I call Susan.
Bzzzt.
To whom?
Bzzzt.
From her own phone in the house.
Bzzzt.
So she might think it's Lucy.
Bzzzt. Bzzzt. And that is where we're going to leave it.
Oh, that's so close.
Because we are out of time.
Is it this end of the session now? I roll for
now you need to roll.
Oh, stay. So you got one dice.
How much space do you have?
I have one.
Roll the one die. Let's see if your luck of rolling checks maintains.
This round of strict die was actually given to me just this weekend by Mum. So
no pressure, Mum.
By my Mum. So
this is the will of your Mum.
Thanks for the hat, by the way.
Good luck.
Yes!
Oh,
I got a 10.
Mum comes through.
Thank you, Mum.
You feel awful.
Okay, so in preparation for next session, you will erase all your... I forgot. You should... Did you account for your compulsion penalties?
Yes, but actually, I fulfilled them when I went into complete isolation.
Don't you have to do that for a period of time?
It's about an hour or less.
You weren't there for an hour before you got that message.
Oh.
No.
Then I
said you got in, you made sure you were isolated in there, and then you got the message.
Oh, was that immediate? I thought it had like a lot.
That's fine for this one, but no, you've still got it. you've still
Okay, cool.
That actually
I'll
works
give it.
out quite well, considering. Really, I'm sorry, but I'm not here next week, and it's destroying me in my heart to miss the episode closest to Halloween. But it's right. I'm going to be fashionably late and dress up like a goth on the next week. It's fine.
Especially given what was going to happen. Well, it would still
Well, now
happen when
we've
you get back.
kind of mostly concluded the bit that I had to do.
have we?
Maybe, unless we've majorly fucked up again. I just want to do the. Yeah, just want to go Chantry died.
Fucked up, us? I don't believe.
I think we, like, all
Whereas-
things considered, it went okay.
Whereas I now have 3 points of aggravated damage and 3 points of superficial damage on
Yeah, end the
track.
session.
Oh, you're nice and balanced.
Plus all the willpower damage that you have.
Yeah, because
So,
and
It's
end the
even
session you
worse.
would get.
You could also be lower on humanity.
Yeah.
So mark those off. Make a note, obviously, that
Wipe off.
no, his stains.
Yeah, I've already.
Stains are gone.
wipe away stains.
You will feel remorseful next session.
But he's done a good thing this session. We all did a good thing.
I didn't.
You know,
I killed a guy.
I didn't. I feel
I had my
Katia feels
hand
good about
buried
herself.
inside.
I love the fact that the whole teamwork, guys, is like he killed a guy. I didn't. Fuck that guy. I didn't.
Hey, I felt.
Are we all
so
good?
useless
Do we
this
have
session.
any other queries,
No, I mean, it has
quips,
to happen at
questions,
some point.
comments?
Oh,
No. Well, thank you very much, guys, for
Cheers,
joining us
guys.
again.
Oh.
Unfortunately, like as was said, we won't have Rachel next week. What happens between Katia, Chris, and everybody else will be resolved when she comes back. Because
I
that's
swear.
going to be fun.
Oliver gets in the way. I'm gonna.
Would he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Foreshadowing. Thank you very much, guys. Hopefully you'll join us again next
See you in
Monday,
2
and we
weeks,
will
guys.
see
Miss
you. See you in a week.
Yeah, see you in a week.
Bye.
Bye.